Chapter 91 The Nest of Future Talents. The cave was crude, and the spirit power in this place was lacking. Hearing Yang Chen say such a blunt evaluation, Gao Yu could not help but open her eyes widely. She was looking at Yang Chen as if looking at someone whom she had never met before. As a matter of fact, today was just the first day of Yang Chen and Gao Yu properly meeting each other, so this was not normal. "Master, don't worry too much, this disciple knows a suitable location for an immortal cave on Myking Mountain. Constructing a few immortal caves is nothing much, everything will be provided by this disciple." Yang Chen was very delighted and patted his chest, as if completely taking charge, without paying the slightest attention to the strange looks Gao Yu gave him. "You know about a lot of things, right?" Gao Yu was very smart, or how would she be Yang Chen's master in his previous life? Looking at Yang Chen, she directly asked. "Even the palace master and the others have said that you do not need much guidance from me in your cultivation, is that so?" This disciple has already learned everything in the hidden pavilion of the Nine Earth Manor. Disciple naturally knows some things which other people don't know. Yang Chen smilingly continued. "But as for problems regarding cultivation, disciple will naturally ask master for guidance. Previously this disciple couldn't do anything about that matter, but naturally it will not be the same now." Yang Chen's words made Gao Yu increasingly curious about him, she suddenly could not help but hold the cup towards Yang Chen for another helping and, leaning towards him, she asked. "You say this, but if I were to read the entire hidden pavilion once through then what?" The recent subconscious actions were so smooth, these two people were fitting together, as if they practiced many times. "Master, if you want to become a pill refining master or a tool refining master, then you should often look at books which have a lot of different skills, in order to increase your knowledge." Yang Chen shook his head and answered with a smile. "But if master just wants to dedicate herself to cultivation, then looking at these things isn't of much use, it will just consume time in vain and waste energy, that's all. The gains will not make up for the losses." "Then, that is reasonable." Sitting on her chair, Gao Yu subconsciously nodded. Her temperament was very straightforward, she was really not fond of those complicated things like pill concocting. If it were not that her strength was related with the magic weapon she had, then maybe she wouldn't even bother refining them, as she had no interest in doing these kinds of things. Yang Chen's words dispelled all of her thoughts regarding going to the hidden pavilion to read. As for this one question and answer, if someone who did not know about their relation had heard this conversation, maybe they would have believed that Gao Yu was the disciple and Yang Chen her master. Both of them were talking naturally like this, and it did not feel inappropriate at all. In his previous life, Yang Chen frequently discussed these kinds of questions with his master, and Gao Yu was also very fond of this kind of ambience. Such a mutual understanding between a master and a disciple who met recently was nevertheless very rare. So Gao Yu could not help herself from tasting the tea offered to her by Yang Chen while authenticating his cultivation. After all, she was his master, so in any case she had to point out the path of cultivation for Yang Chen. Although she could not guide him in pill concocting, in terms of cultivation, she was a Jidance stage expert, so how could she bear losing to Yang Chen's vast knowledge? For the first day of being a disciple, Yang Chen interacted delightedly with his master. His master also hadn't adopted the airs of being a master. As her disciple, he was nevertheless aware that this was all in accordance with his master's wishes and served her with matchless consideration. Gao Yu felt as if both of them were not master and disciple, but rather two friends who had been in contact for many years. This was also the feeling that Yang Chen had yearned for day and night, which he had missed for 10,000 years. That scene which he had looked forward to for more than 10 years after rebirth was finally happening before his eyes. Even if Yang Chen had the mental state of a Great Principle Golden Immortal, he still couldn't help but feel intoxicated by it. Perhaps since the intense desire within his heart had been satisfied, his thoughts had become more clear, so at the time of his training in the evening, Yang Chen was even able to sense that the spirit power within his meridians was flowing more freely. Especially the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets felt as if boiling over. In the early morning of the next day, Gongsun Ling, Shang Yuanfeng and Wang Yuan hurried over to the immortal cave of Gao Yu. They had already made an appointment with Yang Chen for going together to look for his immortal cave. Gao Yu was also coming, but nobody was even the slightest bit surprised at this. Finding an immortal cave for her disciple was something she had to do as a master. But Yang Chen was relatively special, he had done everything by himself. Although it was like this, Yang Chen had already said that she must abandon her current immortal cave, so how could Gao Yu not come to take a look? Gongsun Ling was also unusual. Although she had already reached the foundation stage a few years ago, she still hadn't set up her own immortal cave. Before going to the immortal falling cave, Yang Chen had talked with Gongsun Ling that she was not to worry about picking an immortal cave and wait for him to return. For some reason Gongsun Ling had listened and obeyed Yang Chen's suggestion and had waited until today. Although to almost all other people it appeared that Yang Chen had come to look for the location of an immortal cave for himself, in reality he had to find 3 immortal caves. For Gongsun, Gao Yu and himself. The Miking mountain range extended very far, it had a perimeter of more than 1,000 miles. The Puryang Palace was located on the highest peak of the Miking mountain range. That was the region with the richest spiritual influence, and also the region with the highest concentration of immortal caves at the Puryang Palace. Naturally Yang Chen would not choose a region crowded with that many people, even if the spirit power there was strong. After being divided among so many people, it was almost completely thinned out. Therefore, Yang Chen led everyone to follow him to a small mountain ridge of the Miking mountain, acting as if sensing spirit power, but in reality he had already determined the location. Here? Seeing the region Yang Chen had landed in, Gao Yu creased her brows. The others were also at a loss, but nobody said anything, they merely followed Yang Chen and afterwards began to carefully sense the spirit power in the surroundings. The region where they had landed was a valley which could neither be considered very big or very small. The scenery here was very good, surrounded by mountains from all sides, which, although they were not very big, were able to obstruct the wind from all directions. The distance from the main hall of the Puryang Palace was around 2 hours in flight, so not too far, but also not very close. Younger disciple Yang, is the spiritual influence here suitable? It was pointless for other people to ask him, Gongsun was the most suitable candidate to ask anything. Shang Yuanfeng and Wang Yuan had only come to help and Gao Yu was Yang Chen's master, none among them was appropriate to ask him. Only Gongsun, who had come to look for an immortal cave for herself, was suitable for asking this question. It only looks like this from the outside. Yang Chen smiled but didn't hide anything from the others. In the past I found a very interesting jade slip on the body of an assassin. Recorded on the jade strip was the location of a spirit vein, which he had incidentally discovered. Within the Miking mountain range there were many loose cultivators, the Puryang Palace was allowing their existence. Every once in a while, these people strolled around and perhaps discovered some things which the people from the Puryang Palace couldn't discover. Since the assassin had already died, there was no proof whether the spirit vein had already been discovered prior to this or not, everything had been secretly buried with his body. Where? Yang Chen's words had piqued everyone's interest. A secret underground spirit vein was something that all cultivators would yearn for in their dreams. Yang Chen extended his finger and pointed to the area below his foot while smiling without saying anything. This region had an exceedingly powerful Daimai one and would only be discovered 200 years later. Although it couldn't compare to the Daimai of the Puryang Palace's main hall, for the use of only these few people, this location was extremely good. Along with his movement, everyone's gaze turned towards the ground below Yang Chen. Only, no matter how they looked, used their spirit power to interact with it or examined it with their spiritual awareness, they couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. This was an ordinary, small mountain valley, it had absolutely no relation with any underground spirit vein. There is no hurry, shall we first build a seal around the spirit vein? Yang Chen was aware of everyone's suspicion, but he didn't immediately make the spirit vein appear and instead raised this kind of proposal. Otherwise, as soon as we make the spirit vein appear, other people will want to have a share. You have to know that, I don't like people from the Luminous Moon Hall. Everyone agreed with Yang Chen's proposal, even within the sect, the competition for natural resources was very fierce. The strength of the Luminous Moon Hall was currently very strong compared to others, so it naturally snatched away many of the natural resources. Of the courtyards near the center of the Puryang Palace, where spirit power was most abundant, at least half were occupied by Luminous Moon Hall. For some reason, Gao Yu unexpectedly appeared to have complete trust in Yang Chen. She completely believed Yang Chen's words about there being a spirit vein at this place. Without saying anything more, she immediately stepped onto her flying sword and flew into the sky, where she turned into ray of light, directly going to the main hall of the Puryang Palace, while leaving the sentence behind. I'm going to inform the palace master and move my things from my old cave. Bao Yu's cave was near the core of the Puryang Palace, and countless people have lusted after it. Once it became public that Gao Yu would move out, it would certainly make someone very happy. She believed that the palace master would give his consent without much thought, as people like Yang Chen, who thought about the prosperity of their sect, were simply unique. Senior apprentice sister, what kind of immortal cave do you plan to build? Yang Chen was not too rushed. He made stone chairs for everyone and passed the time while chatting. While speaking, he extended both hands and a ball of fire appeared in his hands and began to change to different shapes. All sorts of buildings appeared within Yang Chen's hands. While choosing the immortal cave, Yang Chen was properly calculating. Gongsun was a talent who would only appear once in 1,000 years, and his master Gao Yu also had a full water spirit root, together Yang Chen himself, these three people were enough to take the whole cultivation world by storm in the coming years. The sooner these three people would join forces, the more their superiority would complement each other, clearing the way for their future development. The fortunate thing was that Gongsun Ling had listened to Yang Chen's suggestion and hadn't built her immortal cave waited for Yang Chen to return. This meant that the seeds he had previously sown had begun to bear fruits. Gongsun Ling would support Yang Chen, this already established that, in the future, his words would have absolute authority within the Pure Yang Palace. Although the spirit vein below his feet had strong spirit power, even enough for use by Yuning stage experts, he had only prepared immortal caves to cultivate before reaching Yuning stage for the three of them. As for cultivation after the Yuning stage, Yang Chen had an even better choice, only he didn't have the ability to go and accept it at this time. Gongsun Ling was attracted by the buildings on Yang Chen's hand and began to admire them, even Shangyuan Feng and Wang Yuan joined in. Thinking about what Wang Yuan had said about following him blindly, Yang Chen suddenly thought of something. Apparently he should also unite a huge force in the Pure Yang Palace, and then when the time came, with the help of his fellow disciples, it would be sufficient to dominate the whole Pure Yang Palace. Senior disciple Shangyuan and senior disciple Wang, if you want to, then you should also move here. Yang Chen smiled towards the two people and said. Many people will make the place more lively, and everyone will also get close to each other. Yang Chen's proposal increased everyone's heart rate. Even the Jidan stage expert Gao Yu had renounced her immortal cave near the main hall of the Pure Yang Palace without the slightest hesitation, which clearly showed that there was not much of a difference between here and there. But both of them had their respective masters, so it was not proper to think for themselves and act accordingly. Shangyuan Feng thought for a good moment and spoke without assurance. As soon as we return, we will consult our masters, and then if we can, we will move here. That's good, when the time comes, we will also pull senior disciple Du Qian over here, and maybe we will not need to construct immortal caves for each of us, and can instead directly build a huge villa, where anyone can choose a room for himself to live and cultivate. Yang Chen immediately stopped the projections of those pavilions and kiosks, and asked Gongsun Ling. What does senior apprentice sister think? It's good. After a small moment, Gongsun Ling immediately nodded her head in agreement. Then I will have to trouble senior apprentice sister to arrange a few spell formations to lock the surroundings. Yang Chen said casually and then encouraged Gongsun Ling to exert herself. As soon as we have built a good villa, I can lead senior apprentice sister to take a look at an exceedingly powerful illusion spell, maybe we can do something to move that illusion spell to our place. Yang Chen was talking about the illusion spell in the place where he had taken the sword box. After Gongsun Ling mastered it, it could be used as a weapon for self-protection. He had no use for it anyway, so to keep the fertile water from flowing into the fields of others, letting Gongsun Ling have it was just perfect. Bao Yu had went very quickly and also returned very quickly. Covered in sword light, she soon landed and said to Yang Chen. I have already talked with the palace master, and he also agreed. You should allow me to examine it. I wonder how powerful this spirit vein really is. While speaking, the sword light also dispersed, and suddenly many people appeared in the vacant land, among them were Yang Chen's servants, Shen Da, Holin, Ting Yuan and Gu Qin, as well as Gao Yu and Gongsun Ling's servants. When the time came they could also be used for work. Having the consent of palace master, everything would be easier. But Yang Chen still had to prepare many things in advance. Gongsun Ling's spell formation also had to be arranged, apart from defense, a spirit gathering spell, and a spirit sealing spell also had to be specially arranged. The spiritual influence which was gathered underground had to be sealed off so that it wouldn't flow outside. Only after everything was properly prepared did Yang Chen start to do it. Taking out 64 caddies of middle-grade spirit stones of exactly the same size, Yang Chen placed them on the ground in a regular pattern, adding in the other kind of spell formation ingredients, and soon arranged them in a spell formation that no one had seen ever before. Everyone was confused when looking at it, even a spell formation expert like Gongsun Ling also hadn't seen this kind of spell formation before. She started feeling that this younger disciple was getting more and more mysterious. After arranging the spell formation, Yang Chen retreated several steps and began to control the spell formation and started operating it. Within a short moment, a dazzling white light appeared on the ground within range of the spell formation. The white light was very bright, but it was concentrated and not scattered, it had the appearance of giant creature which showed up in the sky and began to dig into the ground. But after looking carefully, nothing appeared to be dug out. But very quickly everyone sensed a majestic spirit power coming closer and closer, rushing out frantically from below the ground. Soon the spirit power was erupting from the underground like a fountain, and the spirit gathering spell turned incomparably bright in a flash. Everyone was shrouded in this frantically spouting spirit power. 1 Geographical positions according to Feng Shui. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 92 Come often to talk. In the beginning, when Yang Chen had taken out 64 middle-grade spirit stones, Shang Yuanfeng and Wang Yuan had grown anxious. All of the 64 middle-grade spirit stones were of the same size, and every one among them had a weight of exactly 10 caddies. After exchanging them, they would be worth 64,000 caddies low-grade spirit stones. Even if Shang Yuanfeng, Wang Yuan and Gongsun Ling added their wealth together, it still would not be equal to this, but Yang Chen had taken them out without batting an eyelid. Not to mention anything else, just absorbing the spirit power of this many spirit stones could be compared to draining a low-grade spirit vein, but surprisingly Yang Chen was using these things to arrange an unknown spell formation, simply extravagant. But everyone knew that Yang Chen was rich. Not to mention anything else, he had refined the heaven-seizing pill successfully, so surely Elder Wu would not treat Yang Chen unfairly. Spirit stones were merely a small token after all. Everyone just thought that it was unfortunate that so many spirit stones were being used up. But when this boundless spirit power madly surged forth, everyone didn't have anything more to say. Compared to this underground spirit vein, not to mention 640 caddies of middle-grade spirit stones, even if it was 6,400 or 64,000 caddies, that also was absolutely worth it. This kind of spirit vein was enough to be compared to 80% of the profound Yang Palace's master vein. And it would furthermore only be used by these few people. Currently Shang Yuanfeng and Wang Yuan did not need to ask their masters, they were certain that if they knew about the circumstances of the spirit vein, their masters would certainly force them to relocate here. The master did not have the opportunity and the face to move here, but if their disciple had this kind of opportunity, why would they decline? They should move there immediately. Including those servants, everyone had felt the very dense, almost uncontrollable spirit power. It could only be described with one word: extravagance. This was really very extravagant. There was so much strong and dense spirit power, it was sufficient for use by several hundred people, but only these few people would use it. What word apart from extravagance could be used to describe it? Bao Yu originally believed that she only had to change her original cave for a location near a spirit vein, and in the beginning, she didn't have much of a desire for that, but when this portion of spirit power frantically rushed forth, even this Jidan stage expert couldn't help but be astonished and rooted to the ground, not daring to believe what she was sensing. Is this real? Bao Yu was repeatedly thinking this. The other people also felt as if they were in a dream. If they compared this to their previous locations, their original caves were comparable to a small brook which could quench their thirst, while this here was a lake in which they could immerse themselves. Actually, it was an exceedingly large lake. Isn't this somewhat excessive? Bao Yu stammeringly said these words, an expression of ecstasy mixed with disbelief on her face, making Yang Chen go silly just by looking at it. In this life, Yang Chen's deepest desire was to look at Gao Yu's smiling face, and right now was the first time. After this, Yang Chen could still do many things to make Gao Yu rejoice. Gao Yu's smiling face made Yang Chen feel that all the hard work he had done was worth it. While everyone was stunned, he was secretly enjoying the moment of his master's happiness. After a moment he lightly coughed to wake these people up from their intoxication. Shouldn't we first build our immortal caves? Only after Yang Chen reminded everyone did they recall what they had come here for. Fortunately, everyone was equally bewitched, including the Jidan stage expert Gao Yu, so there was nobody left to make fun of them for being stunned. Yang Chen had suggested just a moment ago that a huge villa should be built, and Gao Yu clapped her hands in approval. She was fond of the feeling of being at home, and Yang Chen's proposal was what Gao Yu wished for in her heart. All of them were cultivators, and everyone had remarkable ability, so the inside of the small valley had completely changed after 10 days. The villa was spanning the entire valley was built very quickly. Pavilions and kiosks, small bridges on running water, everything all was built like a luxurious villa. Shang Yuanfeng and Wang Yuan first returned to the Pure Yang Palace to bring their own servants. As expected, their masters forced them to rush over. When the villa was established, even the palace master and medicine hall's hallmaster, Zhu Chen Tao, had hurried there to congratulate them. Yang Chen hadn't planned to conceal it from the palace master and his other acquaintances. Only, when they passed through the spell formations to enter, they didn't have the bearing of the Yuning stage or the Jidan stage. After seeing this scene, their mouths opened wide because of the shock. This is the spirit vein you discovered. The palace master recovered quickly. Even though the saliva in his mouth was almost going to overflow because of his admiration, he restored his calm very quickly. Yes, palace master. Bao Yu, as the person who had the highest cultivation among everyone, replied to the palace master's question, and soon after that she asked him with a smile. Say, do you regret now, Palace Master? Otherwise, does Palace Master also want to come here? This is the karma of you all, it cannot be wreaked by someone else. The Palace Master was very envious, but he still shook his head and refused Gao Yu's courteous invitation. After calming down, the palace master was also absolutely delighted within his heart. In the end, this was still being used by disciples of the Pure Yang Palace, and moreover, the two most talented disciples which one could only see once in 100 years, so whether it was good or bad, it would still only benefit the Pure Yang Palace. The palace master looked for a good moment and then nodded in satisfaction. Whether or not it was delicately constructed, he did not care, but the plentiful spirit power here, together with the spirit gathering spells, which were complementing with the spirit sealing spell, were just right. Almost anyone could cultivate on top the spirit sealing spell. If it was placed within the Pure Yang Palace, this would be the treatment received by the innermost core disciples. But here, even the servants could access it. Does this villa have a name? After appreciating it properly, the palace master could not help but ask. I was just about to ask palace master to bestow a name. Now you wanted to appease the palace master a bit by giving him this authority. Fine, since you are from the Fierce Yang Hall, we can simply call the second Fierce Yang Courtyard. The palace master was not pretentious, and after some slight pondering he came up with this name. After giving it a name, the palace master said to Yang Chen and Gongsun Ling. Yang Chen, Gongsun Ling, this is also the immortal cave for you two, congratulations to you two, do you want to say something for the occasion? Many thanks to palace master for bestowing this name. Gongsun Ling merely bowed to express her thanks and didn't say anything more. The palace master nodded slightly, indicating not to be too courteous at Gongsun Ling with his hand, but his gaze was concentrated on Yang Chen. Everyone knew that Yang Chen was the one who had discovered this spirit vein, so the palace master was very eager to know what Yang Chen would say. This disciple must ask palace master for a trivial task. Yang Chen confronted the palace master without caring for the huge difference in cultivation them in the slightest and directly raised his request, like asking a family member. What kind of matter? The palace master asked curiously. This disciple has acquired some spirit essences of the 5 phases at the Immortal Falling Well and was just about to request palace master to expand this spirit vein. While speaking, a Qianqin pouch appeared in Yang Chen's hand, but they did not know who he had killed for it. Once he opened the Qianqin pouch, spirit essences poured out from the inside. Looking at this huge pile of spirit essences, everyone was rooted in place as if sealed, nobody was able to move. All of their gazes were drawn towards that pile of spirit essences on the ground and they weren't able to pull their eyes away. All of them were totally stupefied, even the palace master was not an exception. Even if he hadn't gone to the Immortal Falling Fell, he knew about the existence of the 5 phases spirit essences and also properly understood the effect of the 5 phases spirit essences. They certainly were able to increase the grade of a daimai by increasing its amount of spirit power. Even the palace master was speechless when looking at the huge pile of spirit essences at this moment. The palace master had seen spirit essences and he had also used them, but he had never before seen so many spirit essences in one place. Which foundation stage disciple could manage to bring several tens of thousands of spirit essences with them? Usually a few disciples would cooperate and after 10 years at the Immortal Falling Well, they would be able to bring back 50,000 or so spirit essences, which they would then use to remold some spirit vein for every one of them to use. But Yang Chen, who was at the Kai layer at that time, had surprisingly taken out such a huge pile of spirit essences. Looking at the huge pile of spirit essences on the ground, they were definitely no less than 50,000, probably even more than 100,000. What made these people even more resentful was that the 5 phases spirit essences, which were treasured by each and every cultivator, were piled up on the ground without care by Yang Chen. In addition to that, about the Qianqin pouch in Yang Chen's hand, nobody knew which loose cultivator it originally belonged to, but it was actually almost a peak quality Qianqin pouch. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence, even the palace master felt a sudden admiration which he was not able to push down within his heart. Such a strong daimai for spirit power, if one added so many 5 phases spirit essences, this kind of treatment these 20 people, including even the servants, was even better than the most senior sect elder. For a second, the palace master wanted to berate Yang Chen loudly. There was already so much strong spirit power here, but he was still wasting this many spirit essences. What in the world does he want to do? How many spirit essences do you have? Bao Yu was also dumbstruck, but relatively speaking, Yang Chen had already given her more than enough surprises these days, making her somewhat immune to them. Even then, Gao Yu had also been stunned for a moment, only then she was able to ask this question. Not many, only 100,000. Yang Chen replied indifferently, giving everyone the urge to thoroughly beat him up. 100,000 spirit essences of the 5 phases were not many. How could anyone endure hearing this? Because of Yang Chen's reply, everyone's gazes shifted from the pile of spirit essences to him. Looking at this, Yang Chen helplessly shrugged his shoulders and replied innocently. You all know about Elder Wu, he had a lot of these things at that place. Hearing this, everyone understood what was going on. Elder Wu was the main overseer of the Immortal Falling Well, and he has been the overseer for several hundred years, so it was not unexpected that he had this many spirit essences. Compared with the value of the heaven-seizing pill, these many spirit essences were just a trifle. Everyone could not help but feeling envious towards Yang Chen's luck. Naturally, they felt even more curious about Yang Chen's pill concocting ability. To be able to be regarded as this important by Elder Wu was no ordinary matter. Both the Palace Master and Zhu Chentao decided that, in the future, they had to frequently visit the second Fierce Yang courtyard, even if they did not have any matter there. Maybe they could have some enormous benefit drop in. They hadn't realized that this was Yang Chen's plan. As the leader of the sect, naturally the Palace Master couldn't openly plunder the immortal caves of disciples of his own sect, but frequently visiting it was not too strange. In any case, the spiritual influence was enough to support one or two Yuanying stage cultivators, but if the sect leader frequently visited them, then the status of the second Fierce Yang courtyard would surely increase. So if any of those disciples who wanted to stir trouble here had eyes, they would at least hesitate somewhat before bothering them. Although the Palace Master had already evicted Chu Hang from the sect, as well as banished the Luminous Moon Hall's master to meditate for 10 years in order to reflect on his mistakes, their friends and disciples in the sect would absolutely cry out in protest. They would surely look for an opportunity to take revenge. Although Yang Chen did not care about these dirty tricks if they were against himself, but he did not want them to disturb his master, or his mood would be ruined for such a pointless reason. With the Palace Master frequently coming over, which person with eyes would dare to talk drivel to bother them? Moreover, if the Palace Master and Zhu Chentao regularly visited them, then everyone, including Yang Chen, would be able to enjoy the moonlight first, as they would be able to receive guidance regarding any kind of cultivation problem. As the elder of the sect, how could the Palace Master drive away any disciple whom he was visiting, without properly guiding him? Although Yang Chen had experience of cultivating up to the Great Principle Golden Immortal level, that was only in fire-attributed cultivation. He didn't have any experience for high-level cultivation of other the attributes, so he was eager to obtain guidance from the people here. Do you plan to use all of them here? Since he had the idea of coming frequently, the Palace Master also didn't mind if the conditions here became even better. He had asked this without thinking it through and didn't even wait for Yang Chen's reply when he had already started to work. The 5 phases spirit essences could improve the spirit vein. The higher the cultivation of the people doing it, the better the results. The Palace Master was naturally most suitable for using them. But after all was said and done, he was still feeling a little bit of regret. I request Palace Master to take these. Yang Chen hastily bowed and agreed. He clearly realized the intention behind the Palace Master's words, and he also didn't mind exchanging a spirit essences for a favorable impression on the people of the Pure Yang Palace, therefore he quickly took out another Qianqin pouch and very respectfully held it in his hands to deliver it to the Palace Master. This is disciples present for the sect, I asked Palace Master to accept it. He still had more. Everyone had already gotten used to Yang Chen's way of handling things, but they were still astonished, yet nobody said anything. The Palace Master was totally caught off guard, using his spiritual awareness to explore it, he was so startled that he couldn't move. Within the Qianqin pouch, there were 100,000 more spirit essences. After pondering for a moment, the Palace Master realized Yang Chen's intentions. Nodding towards Yang Chen, he accepted the Qianqin pouch. Since you have helped the sect, then I will exempt you from paying the contribution points to enter the hidden pavilions in my Pure Yang Palace in the future. In addition, I shall also allow you to enter the secret pavilion of my Pure Yang Palace once. Yes, Palace Master. Yang Chen didn't express his thanks as this was something he had obtained in exchange for 100,000 spirit essences. Having a clear conscience, he didn't feel the need to express his thanks. The Palace Master had received 100,000 spiritual essences, with this he was certain that he could suppress the disequilibrium inside the Pure Yang Palace. Although Yang Chen had discovered this region by himself and created his own immortal cave, there was still bound to be jealousy from people. The day it would be this matter, tomorrow there would be some other, there were bound to be many inconveniences. These spirit essences were enough to shut people up. While the Palace Master was secretly rejoicing, the 100,000 spirit essences on the ground were like they had grown legs and separated in accordance to their attributes and then rose high into the air, rapidly entering the mouth of the recently opened spirit vein. Everything is alright. But the spirit essences entering so quickly, the Palace Master declared the result. Remember to leave a room for me. And also prepare a few guest rooms, maybe they will come in handy. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 93 To settle the dispute, let's test something. These words of the Palace Master had already established the privileged position of the second Fierce Yang courtyard in the future. Apart from the people Yang Chen had brought with him, if anyone wanted to enter the second Fierce Yang courtyard in the future, then he would first have to establish his merit before this permission was bestowed on him. Naturally, Yang Chen would not leave a room just for the palace master. Zhu Chentao would also require accommodations, so would the law enforcement hall's master, the foreign affair hall's master, and also the current hall master of the Fierce Yang hall. Since it was known as second Fierce Yang courtyard, there was no reason for the master of the Fierce Yang hall not to come. If these people kept an eye on them, the second Fierce Yang courtyard would have no big disturbances in the future. As for the hall master of the luminous moon hall, wasn't he in meditation pondering over his mistakes? So after he came out, Yang Chen could just pretend to have forgotten him. Who would say anything? Would Liang Xiaoming really be so shameless as to run to a junior and demand things? The newly established underground spirit vein was one that had been enhanced by 100,000 spirit essences, so the people at the second Fierce Yang courtyard were so happy that they did not even know what to say. Under Gao Yu's instructions, everyone found a room which had been assigned to them, and afterwards they all hurriedly began to cultivate. Previously, everyone was busy with building the villa, only now were they able to experience the spirit vein. As for Yang Chen, he had been able to bring pleasant surprises for everyone several times in succession. Everyone was completely grateful to Yang Chen. If not for Yang Chen, nobody there would be able to obtain such a good place for cultivation. Even their servants received benefits which were even better than what a great majority of people of the Pure Yang Palace had. Seeing that everyone has settled down properly, Yang Chen was gratified. This was his first present to his master, an outstanding cultivation environment. This was also his first stronghold for revenge against the greatest heaven sect. The crafty rabbit has 3 burrows. 1. This was his first hole in the Pure Yang Palace. The greatest heaven sect was not some small sect, it was the subsidiary sect of the profound heaven sect of the immortal world. Strictly speaking, it was more of a foundation for the profound heaven sect, which could be considered as one of the major powers in the heavenly court. Wanting to deal with it alone was simply impossible. Yang Chen wanted to gather all of the power that he could, only then would he be able to accomplish this undertaking. For entering the sect to pay his respects to his master, Yang Chen had already used 10 years of his time. Now Yang Chen's aim was to make his master recognize that her inborn fire spirit root was in fact not as outstanding as her postnatal water spirit root and to change her cultivation to a water-attributed cultivation method. This was a formidable task. To make a Jet stage expert give up her original cultivation and then start again from scratch with a cultivation method of another attribute was absolutely not as easy as just saying these words. He was convinced that even if the palace master ordered it right now, Gao Yu would still not be willing to cultivate all over again. Not only did this require the relationship between both of them to be even deeper, it would also need a suitable opportunity. Obviously he had recently become her disciple, so right now was not a good opportunity, but Yang Chen was patient and determined, so even if it took 10 years, he was still willing to wait for it. Even if Gao Yu didn't change to a water-attributed cultivation method, someday her fire-attributed cultivation would reach the Yuning stage, so for the time being she was safe and he did not need to be worried. Following this, Yang Chen quickly entered the hidden pavilion in the Pure Yang Palace and again began his routine of reading every day. When the palace master returned to the Pure Yang Palace, he immediately notified the whole sect about Yang Chen, offering 100,000 spirit essences to the sect. This received unanimous praise from everyone, as everyone would obtain the benefits, so who would not think highly of him verbally. The elder at the hidden pavilion had also received the instructions of the palace master, so he was very courteous towards Yang Chen. After the whole Pure Yang Palace had received the news of Yang Chen successfully refining the heaven-seizing pill, they immediately remembered that Yang Chen had read extensively, learning everything in the hidden pavilion of the Nine Earth Manor. According to this precedent, coming to the hidden pavilion of the Pure Yang Palace was a natural thing. After politely refusing the good intentions of the elder to guide Yang Chen through a tour around the hidden pavilion, Yang Chen started touring the hidden pavilion by himself. The hidden pavilion inside of the Pure Yang Palace was completely different from that of the Nine Earth Manor, it was larger at least 100-fold. The Nine Earth Manor had hundreds of thousands of jade slips, but here there were more than 10 million. The 4 arts, medicine, divination, astrology, all were included, all sorts of jade slips that one could think of were there. Moreover, nobody could just look at any jade slip they wanted there. Some records about geography and a brief history of many places in all directions were available to everyone, but jade slips about pill concocting, cultivation methods, tool refining, spell formations and so on would only have their restrictions lifted if one had the relevant cultivation, otherwise the disciples would simply be unable to read it. After entering, Yang Chen had gone straight to the region where cultivation methods were kept. His 5 phases of yin and yang secrets only had a few cultivation methods suitable for cultivation after the foundation stage, the others were still Chi layer cultivation methods. Although his other attributes had not reached the foundation stage yet, Yang Chen wanted to prepare a few profound methods for himself to wrap up the silk before it rains. 2. In his previous life, Yang Chen had single-mindedly concentrated on the cultivation of his fire attribute and had only skimmed through other attributes, thus his knowledge about other attributes was very pathetic. As he was entering the hidden pavilion of the Pure Yang Palace, he was just like a poor person who had entered a treasury, so Yang Chen was naturally not modest. But the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets at hand, who at the Jidan stage or lower, could obstruct Yang Chen. In the area where the cultivation methods were stored, Yang Chen looked through all sections, one by one, for foundation stage or lower level cultivation methods. With just a sweep of his spiritual awareness, the contents of the cultivation method immediately entered his mind, after which he began to analyze their merits and demerits one by one. With the cultivation experience of a Great Principle Golden Immortal, combined with his previous cultivation experience of the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets, he could immediately analyze the characteristics of these cultivation methods. Whether or not they were suitable to himself, whatever kind of defects they had, Yang Chen could modify them. If they were compatible with his own, Yang Chen immediately recorded them within his heart. As an effect of the 3 purity secrets, apart from allowing his spiritual awareness to exceed others, his memory also far exceeded other people. Within the brief period of 2 days, Yang Chen had recorded several hundred cultivation methods. After his cultivation had increased, not only did his spirit power increase, even his ability to read jade slips had greatly increased. Yang Chen would stay at the hidden pavilion for 2 hours every day, and once the time was up, he would leave immediately. After returning to the second Fierce Yang courtyard, he circulated the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets and refined the sword box and profound spirit furnace, using the heavenly stars treasure refining secrets and the earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets one after the other, and then he would use the universal treasure raising secrets. Every time after repeating this kind of cycle, his foundation stage began to stabilize rapidly, and his spirit power also began to rise in an orderly manner, intending to attack the bottleneck of the second layer of the foundation stage. The second day after founding the second Fierce Yang courtyard, Gao Yu had gone to participate in the meeting of Jidan stage or higher grade experts. After returning, upon seeing Yang Chen, she directly said, "This second courtyard has many people lusting after it, and the palace master allowing you to enter the secret pavilion has also been called into question." The second Fierce Yang courtyard had certainly given rise to great dispute within the Pure Yang palace. If a daimai comparable to the daimai of the main spirit vein of the Pure Yang palace was found, it will be a major matter in any sect. And this kind of daimai was surprisingly occupied by a Jidan stage cultivator and some foundation stage experts, even giving the benefits to their servants, who were not even at the foundation stage. How could it not make people go green with envy? The General Assembly of the sect was precisely called to discuss this matter, apart from those who were in closed-door training and those who had gone adventuring, all of the Jidan stage experts and elders were in the hall of the Pure Yang Palace to discuss this. Naturally, the palace master had first proclaimed that Yang Chen had offered 100,000 spirit essences of the 5 phases. Naturally, the palace master didn't hide what rewards he had promised. This kind of treatment is unjust, it will be unfair to all other disciples. Immediately someone jumped out in opposition. It was someone with a high status in the sect, the hallmaster of the Luminous Moon Hall. Although he was sentenced to ponder over his mistake, this time, because it was the sect's general assembly, he was allowed to participate. He felt forced to stand up. After getting news of the second Fierce Yang courtyard, most of all, after finding that a daimai comparable to Pure Yang Palace's master vein had been discovered, Liang Xiaoming had formed a plan. Even if he was in seclusion, he still mobilized his power and had convened the general assembly of the sect. The Myking Mountain Range is the territory of the Pure Yang Palace. If any daimai is found, then it should belong to all of Pure Yang Palace and should not be seized by some youngster. Liang Xiaoming said, speaking forcefully and with justice in his voice, representing the thoughts of a large group of disciples who were all jealous of that sort natural resource but required a dignified excuse. The second Fierce Yang courtyard still hasn't separated from Pure Yang Palace, naturally it still is in the Pure Yang Palace. The palace master had apparently already figured out the crux of the matter. So, when facing Liang Xiaoming's question, he merely replied indifferently. Behind him were a few Yuanying stage elders who were always in closed-door training but had been aroused by Liang Xiaoming for some unknown reason this time. As for a few youngsters seizing it, this daimai had originally been discovered by them, and I have also approved the construction of the Immortal Cave at the Myking Mountain, which was not outside of the established customs and also doesn't violate any rules, so how can you say they have forcefully seized it? Seized an area where there was not even supposed to be anything. Regarding Liang Xiaoming's question, the palace master refuted without giving it much importance. Could it be that Hallmaster Liang wants to snatch things obtained by few juniors? They are the disciples of the Pure Yang Palace, so they should think for my Pure Yang Palace. This Dai Mai should also be shared between disciples of the Pure Yang Palace and must not be the property of a few people. Liang Xiaoming also didn't beat around the bush and directly spoke about the main point. Among the people present, at least half of them shared the same views as Liang Xiaoming. They had all thought about how to speak out about this, but Liang Xiaoming had taken the lead so naturally they would endorse him. Pure Yang Palace's disciples must share the things they have discovered with the sect, these are pretty good words. The palace master nodded, glancing at the few Yuanying stage elders, he enthusiastically said. Yang Chen has already offered 100,000 spirit essences to my Pure Yang Palace, this can be considered sharing with the sect, but I don't quite remember. In those days when Hallmaster Liang came out of the immortal falling well, how many spirit essences did you share? That one question made Hallmaster Liang flush with anger. In those days, Liang Xiaoming had gotten hold of over 10,000 spirit essences together with his fellow disciples. They were spirit essences which he had obtained for enhancing the spirit vein of his own immortal cave, how could he even give half a piece to the sect? We are speaking of the present matter. One Yuanying stage elder standing behind the palace master said. What's in the past is already in the past. Elder Lin's words are correct. Palace master immediately took Lin Yunfeng's words to continue. What's past is already in the past. Yang Chen has discovered the Dai Mai half a month ago, do we really need to specifically discuss it anymore? Lin Yunfeng immediately shut his mouth and spoke no longer, he was a high-level elder, but he was still only an elder and not the palace master. The palace master's current words clearly contained some anger. There could be disputes in the conference of elders, but in the general assembly of the sect, he could not express a different opinion than the palace master. Liang Xiaoming had originally believed that Elder Lin could recover some lost ground for him, but he had also followed along with the palace master's words that turned Yang Chen's matter into a thing of past, how could this satisfy Liang Xiaoming? Seeing that Lin Yunfeng had given up, Liang Xiaoming had no option but to speak himself. Palace master, you cannot say it like this. Just a few pieces of spirit essences will have no influence on my Pure Yang Palace, at least not equal to a master vein. He is a foundation stage disciple, so him making use of the spirit vein is an absolute waste, it has to be made use of by people who need it more. Palace master softly sucked in a breath, he was absolutely not happy with Liang Xiaoming's behavior. The person in the Pure Yang Palace who had closest relations with the greatest heaven sect was precisely Liang Xiaoming. Maybe Chu Heng had made things difficult for Yang Chen to obtain benefits from Liang Xiaoming in the beginning. But there was no proof and the palace master did not want to move against him, but he was getting more and more excessive. He was a hallmaster and a Jidan stage expert, but he had begun to make things difficult for a junior. He really was a disappointment in all aspects. Bao Yu also had the qualifications to attend the general assembly of the sect, but she didn't have the authority to speak. Looking at Liang Xiaoming aiming at Yang Chen, she could not help but refute, based on her personality. But not giving Gao Yu the chance to speak, the palace master asked. If we use a reason like this. 3 months ago, Hallmaster Liang has obtained a high-quality flying sword, you are just one Jidan stage expert using it, it is indeed wasted on you, in the sect there are a few Yuanying stage experts who don't have a good flying sword, Hallmaster Liang, shouldn't you give it up for the people who need it more? Talking about seniority, you are Yang Chen's uncle master, shouldn't you set an example for your juniors? The same thing happening to others was completely different from it happening to oneself. Liang Xiaoming had just recently obtained a high-grade flying sword, which was of a higher grade than any of the other flying swords he had used. He was just about to completely refine it, using this opportunity of 10 years in isolation to thoroughly refine it, so how could he agree to obediently handing it over? Without waiting for Liang Xiaoming to think for a proper response, the palace master once again declared a decision. Since everyone is willing to handle it like this, then it would be better if we test it first with the Luminous Moon Hall. In the future, if the disciples of the Luminous Moon Hall have any harvests, they will all be transferred to the sect and will be allocated by the sect, they must not be stashed secretly. We will test it out for 10 years and look at the results. If the disciples of the Luminous Moon Hall work as one and wholeheartedly endorse it and it can make the sect grow more prosperous with every day, then after 10 years, shall we once again convene a general assembly and make this a rule of the entire Pure Yang Palace. Once these words came out, without waiting for anyone to decide by vote, the palace master raised another condition. And those who agree with it can also participate. As long as the results are outstanding, changing the sect rules will not be much of a bother. After he finished speaking, he directly turned towards the Yuanying elders and smilingly asked. Elders, how about it? Only a fool would agree to this kind of condition. Everyone knew that fighting over other people's things was easy, but handing over one's own things was an extremely difficult task. Who would agree to handing over the things he had obtained by fighting to the sect and afterwards allowing the sect to distribute it? Who would be such a fool? One idiom. A sly person has more than one plan to fall back on. Two idiom. To plan ahead. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 94. If not him, then defend who? Now you absolutely hadn't anticipated this. The palace master put in so much effort for Yang Chen, and at the moment he was sitting calmly, not saying anything else, merely observing the responses of everyone around him. Those people who had previously supported Liang Xiaoming also reacted at this moment. If they agreed to Liang Xiaoming's proposal of seizing Yang Chen's discovered dynamite today, then tomorrow they might find even their own things being taken away. The palace master had clearly thought about this problem and concluded that Liang Xiaoming would not agree to this proposal. Liang Xiaoming himself also hadn't come to a decision. If he wanted to take Yang Chen's dynamite to be assigned to and be shared with the sect, then his own top-grade sword would also be snatched by others to be shared with the sect. The problem with the dynamite spirit power could be solved by letting people absorb it, but if the flying sword was given to other people, it would certainly help them to ascend, and then nothing would be left behind. If he agreed to this suggestion, he'd have to give up his flying sword, but it was also his own suggestion, so he could not easily dismiss it. Even if he agreed, it would only imply that the Luminous Moon Hall would have to give all of their harvests to the sect for 10 years, not to speak of others, just by the pressure of the disciples of the Luminous Moon Hall. Liang Xiaoming could not guarantee that he could take the responsibility. This kind of affair really put Liang Xiaoming in a dilemma. He, a Zhanxian stage cultivator, had his whole face turn red, as if he was being choked. He was rooted to the ground speechlessly. The few elders who were originally in support of Liang Xiaoming were all silent at this moment. Previously, when they had been incited by Liang Xiaoming, they had all believed that this dynamite could greatly increase the strength of the Pure Yang Palace, so they hadn't thought much. But now that the palace master had given this sort of argument, they were all adults, how could they not understand the deeper meaning? The dynamite only had a good amount of spirit power, but these kind of resources were secondary. For a sect, the most important resource was its disciples. If the disciples didn't have any morality, then the sect was not far from decline. If the spirit veins they discovered themselves were taken, then they would go to find a spirit vein outside of the sect, and if they lost their attachment to the sect, they may not return anymore. Silence spread on the scene, and it continued for a good long moment. That nobody was speaking also implied that the people didn't agree with the palace master's proposal. Until now I was under the impression that cultivators would conform to the heavenly laws, most of all the law of karma, to not give birth to greed and not let the heart be sullied by jealousy. Within the gaze of the palace master, a hint disappointment flashed. Whomever he looked at lowered his head, not daring to make the slightest eye contact with the palace master. The palace master had slowly spoken these words, and many of the people who heard it felt a jolt, as if they had realized something. Today I am very disappointed. All disciples of the sect, regardless of whether they were the Zhanxian experts or the Yuning experts, coveted the possessions of a foundation stage junior. The palace master's voice suddenly got loud and was filled with immense fury, directly echoing in all directions. My Pure Yang Palace is considered to be an honest and upright sect, but you still use such evil ways. What about the rules of my Pure Yang Palace? You must not attack the disciples of your own sect and forcibly plunder a junior's possessions. What about them? The ire of a Yuning stage expert created a frightening pressure over the entire Pure Yang Palace, regardless of whether it were the formal disciples or the servants, all kept quiet out of fear, not daring to make any kind of noise. Today you all tried to snatch a junior's things, tomorrow a senior would try to snatch your things, today it is Yang Chen, tomorrow it will be you all. If everyone kept on robbing things from others, then one day, if my Pure Yang Palace faces a calamity, who will defend my sect? The palace master was angry at the fact that these people had forgotten about the bigger picture in their greed. Or perhaps, at the day when your own life hangs by a thread, who will come to help you? Nobody dared to raise their head. It was the first time that the palace master had been so angry in front of everyone. Even those who hadn't planned to support Liang Xiaoming didn't dare to raise their heads. The angry words of the palace master made them realize many things. Although they were being yelled at, they were glad that the palace master was defending Yang Chen today, because it meant tomorrow he would also defend all of them. The spirit power at the second Fierce Yang courtyard is strong, but that doesn't mean that nobody will have the opportunity to enter. After giving them the stick, it was naturally time for showing them the carrot. The palace master clearly knew this. If a disciple of the Pure Yang Palace gains sufficient merit in the future, he will be allowed to cultivate in the second Fierce Yang courtyard for 1 year, as a reward for his accomplishments. If you want to enter the second Fierce Yang courtyard, you still need to work very hard. It gave hope to everyone that they could also get the opportunity to enter the courtyard. If anyone wants to say anything, speak now, if not, then return to your cultivation. Perhaps because the palace master was able to vent his anger, he was not that stressed anymore, so that kind of frightening pressure also dissipated. Only then did the people inside of the Pure Yang Palace become able to move again. Disciple has been thoughtless in this matter. I must ask Palace Master to punish me. Liang Xiaoming hastily bowed his head to admit his mistakes. The way he had acted this time would surely invite malevolence from many people, and the excuse that he had been thoughtless provided him a way out to save his face. After all, people were not gods, they could make mistakes. Moreover, he had only thought about the sect from the beginning, but his way of thinking had been wrong, that's all. It wasn't a huge sin. But Palace Master, allowing Yang Chen to enter the secret pavilion, isn't that somewhat excessive? This time, Liang Xiaoming didn't aim at Yang Chen's underground vein and instead turned his attack towards the reward bestowed on Yang Chen. This kind of treatment should only be given disciples who have done a great service for the sect. Yang Chen has only offered 100,000 spirit essences. We could always provide him with enough spirit stones and contribution points as rewards, but is it right to make an exception in his case and allow him to enter the secret pavilion? The secret pavilion was the most central region of the Pure Yang Palace, and once inside, one could only be allowed to select one thing. It simply could not be allowed as a reward for people who have not done a great service for the sect. These words of Liang Xiaoming were based on well thought out reason, not allowing anyone to find any faults with it. I will once again discuss the matter regarding the secret pavilion with the elders. This time, the palace master showed his authority and directly rejected Liang Xiaoming's question in his face. But even after this, Liang Xiaoming was still somewhat glad. After all, those elders who had been present today would not be very happy, so Yang Chen's chance to enter the secret pavilion was already forfeited. After the general assembly of the sect was dispersed, Gao Yu immediately went to see Yang Chen after returning, to inform him about this. After telling all of this to him, she encouraged him in the manner of a master. This time the palace master has shouldered a big burden for you, you must cultivate diligently, so that you do not fail to meet the great hopes of the palace master and your master. Naturally, Yang Chen immediately made a solemn vow and exposed a calculative smile on his face. Although Gao Yu did not know what the palace master had discussed with those Yuning stage elders after the general assembly, the other people also didn't know, but Yang Chen could roughly guess what happened. Just as Yang Chen had anticipated, when the palace master met with those Yuning stage masters in the small hall where the official business was discussed, an elder immediately started blaming the palace master. "Palace master, why did you defend that one foundation stage disciple today? Not even hesitating to rebuke all of the Jidan stage disciples." Although the other elders did not say anything, everyone had the same expression. Today, the palace master had flown into a furious rage, which had showed his awe-inspiring authority. But that awe-inspiring authority did not have any effect on these elders, they only hadn't refuted him on the scene because he was the palace master and they should not ruin his prestige. Very simple. After the palace master sat down, he replied indifferently. "Because Elder Wu still hasn't ascended." Once these words came out, all of the elders clearly understood everything. Yang Chen had assisted Elder Wu in refining the heaven-seizing pill, almost everyone under the heavens knew about this matter. Although nobody knew what exactly had happened at the time of refining, but it was rumored that Yang Chen's role in the refining was crucial. For this reason, Elder Wu had even specifically spread word for Yang Chen to be protected. This already was sufficient to illustrate Yang Chen's importance. Since nobody among them was Elder Wu's opponent, then they still had to give him face about the people under his protection. Most of all, inside of the Pure Yang Palace. This was a great opportunity to make friends with Elder Wu, so what the palace master had done was absolutely correct. Since this was the reason, then the matter regarding the secret pavilion shall still be carried out as decided previously, no need to say anything more. All of the elders nodded their heads, representing everyone, Lin Yunfeng declared the conclusion. Before Elder Wu ascends, we must not allow any person to cause grievances with Yang Chen. But if this happens, will Yang Chen not face no bumps on his cultivation path? Wouldn't that harm him instead? Another elder had a different thought. In my opinion, although we should show suitable consideration towards him, we should also allow him to face his own problems, as long as he is not in a life or death crisis. At other times, allowing him to deal with his own problems would be better. Everyone there was a Yuning stage expert, naturally they knew that the words of this elder made sense and nodded in agreement. No matter what was said, Yang Chen was still a disciple of the sect, so someone among them would be Yang Chen's great master. They, as elders, would not persecute a disciple of their own sect deliberately. Then how should we treat Yang Chen after Elder Wu ascends? Raising this question was precisely Yang Chen's great master, Gao Yu's master, Wang Yang. During the previous discussion, he hadn't said anything since the palace master had already spared no pains for the matter regarding his disciple and disciple's disciple, so he had no need to stick out. But after hearing that the palace master only supported them because Elder Wu had not ascended yet, he felt somewhat dissatisfied and started to closely inquire about the palace master's future plans. We will still cultivate him with our full attention and vigorously defend him. The palace master said this without the slightest bit of hesitation. Everyone was aware of the relationship between Wang Yang and Yang Chen, so nobody said anything, but hearing the words of the palace master, Lin Fengyun displayed a trace of disapproval. Yang Chen had ascended to the peak of the heavenly stairs, so his willpower is very strong. He had also offered his spirit essences to the sect, and without anyone's guidance, he successfully built his foundation. This proves his exceptionally good comprehension. He's basically a very talented disciple. The palace master faintly replied with a smile. If we don't cultivate this kind of genius, then should we cultivate a disciple like Chu Heng, the sort of disciple who cheats his master and brings shame to his ancestors? During the discussion, nobody said anything. What the palace master said was reasonable. A loyal and talented disciple was naturally worth cultivating, even cultivating with great attention. These kinds of juniors were the future of the Puryang Palace. After all, the elders were only waiting to be able to attack the bottleneck of the Dacheng stage and add to sect's glory. How could they be jealous of a junior? Even if it was not because of this reason, I still would defended Yang Chen with all my strength. After giving them a pompous reason, the palace master did not mind telling them his intentions. He could see that there were elders who had disapproved of his intentions, even though they hadn't said anything, so he naturally wanted to unify everyone's thoughts. Hearing these words of the palace master, everyone was startled. Apart from this reason, there was still another reason. Everyone clearly understood the palace master's temperament. He would not show this much consideration for a junior without a good reason, so everyone pricked their ears to hear the palace master's reason. If this reason did not convince Lin Yunfeng, then he would probably be directed against Yang Chen someday in future. Yang Chen has refined the heaven-seizing pill. These few words made everyone slap their foreheads. They figured it out within a moment. I will speak some unpleasant words. I have not defended Yang Chen so energetically just to cultivate him, but rather, when the time of ascension comes for me and I require a heaven-seizing pill, who will refine it for me? If I do not use the disciples of my sect, then should I go to ask other people? Everything had suddenly become clear to the group of elders, including Lin Yunfeng. All had an understanding expression on their faces. If the previous reason, that Yang Chen talent was worth cultivating, had not convinced everyone, then this reason was sufficient for everyone to lay down any prejudices and wholeheartedly support Yang Chen. Everyone was at the stage of advancing from the Yuning stage to the Dacheng stage, with their final goal being ascension, but who didn't know the difficulty of ascending? If, at the time of their ascension, they had the help of a heaven-seizing pill, wouldn't it be much smoother? If Yang Chen had a significant influence during the refining of the heaven-seizing pill, then didn't this mean that he knew the method to refine a heaven-seizing pill? Whether it was for the good of everyone or for their own good, there was no reason to become hostile with this junior. Even Lin Yunfeng felt the same way. The reason why he had previously opposed him was because Liang Xiaoming had incited him. He was a Yuning stage elder, why would he have any reason to become hostile with a junior of the sect who had only joined 10 years ago? Nobody knew what was discussed between the palace master and the elders in the end, but the palace master and the elders had unanimously agreed to the reward of Yang Chen entering the hidden pavilion once. Similarly, nobody knew that Yang Chen had gained the support and defense of all the elders. Yang Chen had guessed this beforehand, but he did not discuss it with anyone else. He was still following his regular routine, spending a fixed time in the hidden pavilion every day and then returning and training without any interruption. The Puryang Palace now had a tranquil environment. The small waves caused by this were all silenced after the palace master's fury. But this was already not the same Puryang Palace as in his previous life. Some minor transformations had taken place in the whole Puryang Palace, whom nobody but Yang Chen knew of. This life's Puryang Palace just happened to be slowly turning in the right direction for Yang Chen. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 95 Building the Foundation Again. Because of his current cultivation realm, although Yang Chen had found a suitable cultivation method for all attributes to cultivate after reaching the foundation stage, apart from his fire-attributed cultivation, Yang Chen hadn't reached the foundation stage in any other attribute, so he was not able to integrate these high-grade cultivation methods with his 5 phases of yin and yang secrets. This had become Yang Chen's biggest weakness. Because not all of the 5 phases of yin and yang had reached the foundation stage, he was unable to use a lot of things, including the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets and the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets. After becoming the disciple of his master, Yang Chen could see his master every day and every night. His long-cherished wish to become the disciple of his master again had also come true, and he had also established the second fierce Yang courtyard, so now increasing his cultivation was the most important matter. Strictly speaking, the fire attribute of Yang Chen, which had reached the foundation stage, was only the fourth fire because the geocentric flame had greatly increased the cultivation of Yang Chen's fourth fire. In his previous life, Yang Chen hadn't differentiated strictly between the yin and yang attribute during cultivation, but currently, because of the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets, he had to divide them clearly. In other words, including the spirit power with the third fire attribute, Yang Chen had 9 attributes of spirit power, which had to be upgraded through cultivation in order to reach the foundation stage. After reaching the foundation stage at the villa of Elder Wu, Yang Chen had basically spent all of the time with consolidating the foundation stage because of the fear that Elder Wu might discover the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets, so he basically didn't cultivate. Even to the extent that after reaching the foundation stage to the time until the heaven-seizing pill was refined, the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets basically hadn't progressed even a single step. From the beginning to the end it had been halted at the 9th Kai layer. But Yang Chen knew that every attribute of his that reached the foundation stage would help in increasing the other attributes to a small extent. In other words, as long as 1 or 2 attributes of spirit power reached the foundation stage, then the remaining 5 phases of yin and yang would be able to reach the peak of the Kai layer. And at that time, as long as he refined enough foundation stage pills for himself, reaching the foundation stage would not be a problem. Currently the simplest way for Yang Chen was to increase his third fire attribute. Regardless of whether it was his experience or outside help, both were in his grasp. In his previous life, he was a fire-attributed cultivator, and the real sun fire was precisely of the third fire attribute. These two things added together would allow Yang Chen to quickly build the foundation of his third fire attribute. Naturally, with Yang Chen's current cultivation level, absorbing the real sun fire was not possible. In his previous life, when Yang Chen was at the middle Jidan stage, he had received the chance to obtain the real sun fire, but still he had just narrowly escaped with his life, almost visiting the yellow springs when absorbing it. But after absorbing it, his achievements were astonishing. Not only was he able to reach the Yuning stage, the Dacheng stage and then ascend, but he was also able to reach the immortal world. The real sun fire was extremely precious. He Lianyun had also obtained this flame by concocting pills for other people, but now all of his work had helped Yang Chen accomplish his aim. Although Yang Chen could not absorb the flame right then, the profound spirit furnace could. So long as it absorbed the flame successfully, the grade of the profound spirit furnace would increase dramatically. After 1 month he stopped going to the hidden pavilion. During this time, after making sufficient preparations and informing his master and other friends, Yang Chen went into seclusion to absorb the real sun fire. Yang Chen took out the small lamp in which Elder Wu had sealed the real sun fire from his achievement ring and placed it in front of him. Seeing it for the first time, nobody would believe that this small lamp, flickering like it would extinguish at any moment, actually contained the real sun fire. The process of absorbing it was similar to the geocentric flame, with some slight differences. After all, the real sun fire was 2 grades higher than the geocentric flame, and a 5th grade flame was a rare flame, even in the spiritual world. Its might was enough to make both Yang Chen and profound spirit furnace disappear without a trace, if Yang Chen was even a little inattentive during the refining. Luckily, Yang Chen had possessed the real sun fire in his previous life, so even in spiritual world, no one would be more familiar with this flame than him. He used a heavenly star's treasure refining secret to refine the profound spirit furnace, and then again used the universal treasure raising secrets for maintenance. Only then did he slowly bring the profound spirit furnace near that small trace of fire. At the instant Yang Chen approached it, the controlled profound spirit furnace extracted a hair-sized flame essence of the real sun fire from the small trace of fire. Compared to the time Yang Chen when absorbed the geocentric flame, this trace was even tinier, not even equal to 1/10 of that time. With just this one trace of flame, Yang Chen had a sensation as if the profound spirit furnace was being surrounded by the fire on all sides, and in a flash the temperature of the profound spirit furnace increased so much that nobody could touch it. The whole body of the profound spirit furnace was fiercely burning, as if it could melt any moment. This was the most dangerous time. If Yang Chen was not able to control the intensity of the flame at this moment, then the whole profound spirit furnace could be destroyed. Yang Chen had already prepared the materials for this, taking out a properly prepared profound cyan crystal gold, he carefully placed it into the profound spirit furnace. Indeed, Yang Chen had already planned to use the opportunity when the real sun fire was being absorbed to refine the profound cyan crystal gold and increase the quality of the profound spirit furnace. The profound Cyan crystal gold was not something that could be refined by an ordinary flame, even if it was the real sun fire. If it was not controlled by someone, it would require a sufficient temperature to be able to refine it. Currently the majority of the heat of the hair-sized flame would be absorbed by the profound Cyan crystal gold, allowing the profound spirit furnace to take advantage and absorb it. Previously Yang Chen didn't have any methods to refine this such a large profound Cyan crystal gold. Although the geocentric flame burned fiercely, it could only be used to refine herbs and earth-attributed objects and basically had no effect on such a high-grade profound Cyan crystal gold. As expected, due to the effects of such a method, the temperature of the profound spirit furnace no longer rose, it even started to cool down. On the contrary, some transformations began to happen in the profound Cyan crystal gold chest kept inside of the profound spirit furnace. Those traces of rust on the outer surface began to be peeled off little by little. All of those were the impurities of the profound Cyan crystal gold, which the mountain god was not able to purify, so they remained on the chest in the form of corrosion. Currently these impurities began to slowly separate under the fiercely burning real sun fire. After that hair-sized trace was absorbed by the profound spirit furnace, Yang Chen controlled the profound spirit furnace once more to extract another trace, continuing the cycle in this way. The profound spirit furnace continued to absorb more and more traces of the flame, and the chest made out of profound Cyan crystal gold also started to constantly change color. After the impurities were separated, the chest slowly turned red with an alarming temperature, but there was no change in its shape. This property of the profound Cyan crystal gold was very suitable to make pill-concocting furnaces and fire-attributed flying swords, so using it on the profound spirit furnace just happened to be suitable. Naturally, such a large piece, Yang Chen would not be able to use it completely, but as long as he could use 1/10 of it, it would be sufficient to allow the profound spirit furnace to completely transform. During this cycle, the small flame trace in the lamp kept on becoming smaller and finally extinguished completely. For every hair-sized trace of the flame he absorbed, the third fire spirit power within his body was refined even more. The flame of the real sun fire was very fierce, so Yang Chen did not dare to absorb it into his body at the moment, but this did not stop Yang Chen from taking his own spirit power into the real sun flame and refining it by burning and then pulling it into his body again. At least 90% of the spirit power was used up in the refining by burning from the real sun fire, but that leftover trace was more pure by many times. During the absorption of every hair-sized trace, Yang Chen lost 9/10 of his third fire spirit power. Fortunately the spirit power of the daimai was quite strong, and Yang Chen also had sufficient profound yang fruits for replenishment, so he could quickly restore his spirit power before every absorption. For every trace of flame he extracted, the spirit power would have to undergo this sort of refining, so Yang Chen's third fire spirit power was being hammered into shape by the real sun fire. After the spirit power was recovered, it was quickly consumed by the fire, leaving only little bit behind. Soon after that it would be restored again and then refined once more. The spirit power left behind after being burned by the real sun fire was increasing, and this spirit power was even more pure than the spirit power after being refined by the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets. The higher the quality of the spirit power, the higher the cultivation of the third fire spirit power. When half of the spirit power remained after burning from the real sun fire, it had finally reached the critical point. For Yang Chen, there was basically no comprehension needed for cultivation, as long as he could accumulate a sufficient amount of spirit power, he could easily break through. Within the second fierce yang courtyard, the spirit power of the daimai was acting as if it was being strongly attracted by something, frantically converging at the small room where Yang Chen was in seclusion. It was enough to interrupt the cultivation of all the Yuning stage experts who were cultivating, using the spirit power of the daimai. All of the spirit power was rushing forth to enter Yang Chen's body. The people of the second fierce yang courtyard all noticed this anomaly. This kind of situation was not strange to anyone, it was clear that someone was trying to link the energy of heaven and earth while trying to build their foundation. After a moment, everything would return to normal. But nobody knew why this was happening. Hadn't Yang Chen already built his foundation? So how could this situation of heaven and earth being joined come about? After the foundation stage, the body would automatically attract the spirit power of heaven and earth, so could it be that Yang Chen had abolished his cultivation and was building his foundation all the way again? Although everyone was suspicious, nobody became impatient and rushed to enter and disturb Yang Chen, who didn't know the biggest taboo of seclusion. Everyone was scared that someone would suddenly break in and disturb them. Moreover, this situation was not anything bad, it could also mean that Yang Chen had made some breakthrough and therefore had triggered this kind of situation. Due to the third fire spirit power building a foundation, Yang Chen's cultivation had been upgraded by 1 grade. Previously, when he was at Elder Wu's villa, he had built his foundation with the support of the geocentric flame and the medicinal power of the blue-green zoysia, but currently was not the same. This time, the third fire spirit power was refined by crazily being burnt by the real sun fire, and only then did it reach the foundation stage. The spirit power of third fire was now many times more pure compared to the other types of spirit power, so at once it occupied the top place within the 5 phases of yin and yang. The other phases of the 5 phases of yin and yang crazily absorbed the spirit power of the daimai during the process of linking the heaven and earth. Within a brief moment, they had absorbed enough spirit power, so the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets had been upgraded by 1 layer and attained the 10th layer, the peak of the Kai layer. Within his spirit sea, the color of the long blood river grew even deeper. The space surrounding it had expanded even more during this process of building the foundation, forcibly increasing by at least 50%. Currently it could compare to around half of the second fierce yang courtyard. Perhaps because only the fire-attributed spirit power had reached the foundation stage, the spirit sea was divided into layers. At the top was an image of the sun, burning fiercely, and underneath that blood river was another dark red-colored flame river, clearly reflecting the real sun fire and the geocentric flame. In his previous life, although Yang Chen possessed the real sun fire, it was still not reflected in his spirit sea, but currently, although he hadn't absorbed the real sun fire, it had already left that imprint within his spirit sea. Apart from the long river, capable of being used as killing intent, he was still unable to tell what kind of uses it had. The process of absorbing the real sun fire into the profound spirit furnace was still not complete, so Yang Chen did not dare to casually stop it in the least. After he reached the foundation stage, the third fire spirit power was even more abundant. The hair-sized flame extracted every time had also turned thread-sized, with its speed becoming almost tenfold. When the flame on the lamp had completely disappeared, a golden-colored ball of real sun fire appeared within the profound spirit furnace. This golden ball of real sun fire was in a different direction from the geocentric flame, without the slightest bit of interfering with each other, but with just a thought, Yang Chen could move them like his arms and legs. Within the profound spirit furnace, the intact real sun fire was crazily burning the profound cyan crystal gold. The profound cyan crystal gold chest, which wasn't affected in the slightest during previous few months, had already changed shape, changing into an object as flexible as dough. The profound spirit furnace was already linked with Yang Chen's thoughts, and with just a thought, the melted profound cyan crystal gold began to slowly divide into 2 parts. The bigger part quickly flew out of the profound spirit furnace and began to cool, while the remaining, smaller part began to melt even more, fusing with the profound spirit furnace bit by bit. The spiritual awareness offered by his formidable spirit sea was sufficient to allow Yang Chen to penetrate any region within the furnace. Those regions which were not stable because of the low-leveled materials were replaced, bit by bit, by the profound cyan crystal gold, and afterwards began to separate under the burning of the real sun fire. By then, the absorbed real sun fire was in fact the whole of the flame, which had split up to purify the metal box and refine the profound spirit furnace in one process. This led to the current situation, where only the last step was remaining. When the profound cyan crystal gold had completely fused with the profound spirit furnace, the color of the profound spirit furnace had changed to the cyan color of the profound cyan crystal gold. If looked from far away, the pill furnace did not look as if made of metal, and more like it had turned into porcelain. Yang Chen immediately used the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets and the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets to refine it, and only then was the refining of the profound spirit furnace complete. The real sun fire, together with the profound cyan crystal gold, one was a 5th grade flame, one was the best quality material in the mortal world. Even if only one was used, it would be able to change the profound spirit furnace entirely, but currently, under the formidable power of both, it had changed multiple times. Currently the profound spirit furnace was not inferior to the violet-colored furnace used by Deng Yi. Just right, this kind of profound spirit furnace should be able to refine 3rd-grade pills. Yang Chen looked at the pill furnace on his hand in satisfaction and faintly smiled. 3rd-grade foundation stage pills should be sufficient to make all of the remaining spirit power reach the foundation stage. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 96 Striking a Balance Between Work and Rest. The profound spirit furnace had improved by several grades, allowing Yang Chen to have some confidence in being able to refine low-level pills of the 3rd grade. Most of all, as the profound spirit furnace had absorbed the real sun fire and his 3rd fire and 4th fire spirit power had reached the foundation stage, he had complete certainty in refining elixirs, such as the foundation stage pills, which could be refined with a cultivation of the foundation stage or lower. But currently Yang Chen would absolutely not refine ordinary foundation stage pills. It had to be known that currently, the profound yang fruits Yang Chen had were all 1,000 years old, and the maturity of the other ingredients would also astonish people. If he used this kind of ingredients to refine common foundation stage pills, then wouldn't it seem like Yang Chen's methods were a bit low-leveled? Previously, third-grade foundation stage pills were sufficient to satisfy Yang Chen's current needs. As long as he had the ingredients, it would be able to allow the attribute which Yang Chen focused on to reach the foundation stage. But currently Yang Chen had obtained the Penglai Divine Wood, so he had an even more outrageous thought. The Penglai Divine Wood was a wood-attributed heavenly object and was moreover the best wood-attributed ingredient in the mortal world. This time, Yang Chen was considering whether or not he should add the Penglai Divine Wood directly into the foundation stage pill to increase his own wood-attributed spirit power. Yang Chen had never done this kind of thing in his previous life, but Yang Chen knew that the cultivation world was not always the same, there were constantly new innovations in the cultivation world, all of the sects were constantly seeking new things to develop and promote. Following the old ways was not the only correct way to learn, using the weak points at which their predecessors had given up and using them for one's advantage was the proper way to become even more outstanding. Although the recipe for the foundation stage pill was very clear, but using ingredients with different maturities could lead to different quality of pills, and moreover, different refining techniques could also produce different medicinal efficacies. Yang Chen was currently considering to manufacture a foundation stage pill, especially for his first wood attribute spirit power, so it would be better if he used the spirit power accumulated within the Penglai Divine Wood. This was not a simple matter. Developing a new kind of recipe required a huge amount of experiments, and experiments naturally require a great amount of ingredients. Fortunately, this was not a problem for Yang Chen. Regardless of whether it was the profound yang fruit or the leaves of the Penglai Divine Wood, Yang Chen had a sufficient amount of ingredients to conduct the tests. The experience from his previous life and the large amount of reading at the Hidden Pavilion had allowed Yang Chen to gain a direction to begin, so he did not have to waste time blindly fumbling around. The refining technique was still the refining technique of the foundation stage pill, but at some point during the refining, the Penglai Divine Wood had to be added. If other people knew that Yang Chen was using profound yang fruits and Penglai Divine Wood to conduct experiments with the foundation stage pill, countless tool refining and pill concocting masters would madly curse him to rot in hell. Whether it was the Penglai Divine Wood or the 1,000-year profound yang fruit, both were things, the news of which could give rise to fights, leading to rain of blood due to envy, but Yang Chen was using them to experiment, just like a wastrel. Compacting the third fire spirit power had allowed Yang Chen to have a new idea, he completely hadn't anticipated that he could still gain this kind of advantage using the profound spirit furnace. But this also gave Yang Chen an insight. If the third fire spirit power could become so pure, then wouldn't the first tree attributed spirit power also be able to achieve the same result with assistance of the Penglai Divine Wood? The profound spirit furnace had absorbed the real sun fire, so it could fully persist for 10 months. The bottle of the medicine garden had also been provided with abundant spirit power during these few months, so it had already recovered 3/4 of its spirit power. When Yang Chen entered the medicine garden to take a look, he was very astonished to find that, after the integration with heavenly materials such as the Penglai Divine Wood, the spirit power required by the medicine garden was even higher, and it moreover hadn't even changed entirely into water-attributed spirit power. The trees of Penglai Divine Wood had grown more and more verdant and lush, but their number hadn't increased much, while those leaves had become even more lush, and the roots had also become more solid and robust. Moreover, after these Penglai Divine Wood branches, those herbs had also begun to grow more vigorously. All of this made Yang Chen very satisfied. But having this thought didn't mean that Yang Chen was going to start refining immediately. The seclusion was for 10 months, Yang Chen also needed to come out of seclusion. After rebirth, Yang Chen had gained an all-new familiarity towards cultivation. He did not immerse himself in bitter cultivation all day to increase his realm, that's why he had read extensively in the Hidden Pavilion. This was the reason why Yang Chen was acting lazy and not cultivating all day. Strange, how did you do that? Under Gao Yu's scrutiny, Yang Chen paying a formal visit to his master, had a feeling of confusion. Yang Chen's cultivation was still at the initial foundation stage, but meeting him gave her the sensation of fire assaulting her face. This made Gao Yu, a fire-attributed Jidan stage expert, very puzzled. Why have you entered closed-door training? Thank you, master, for your kind intentions. Disciple has only refined his pill-concocting furnace, that's all. Yang Chen's words were half true, absorbing the real sun fire and melting the profound cyan crystal gold was indeed done during the refining of the profound spirit furnace, but although his words were vague, this was also the reality. Bao Yu was still suspicious. Through most of the time of the seclusion, the connecting of the energy of earth and heaven had happened, which made her unable to understand the matter completely. But Yang Chen had not told, so she also did not ask in much detail. Everyone knew that Yang Chen was unusual. Gao Yu as the master was even more clear about this. Towards this disciple of hers, Gao Yu still hadn't taught properly about how she should go about instructing him, but during these few months, her thoughts had become clearer by much. Letting nature take its course was comparatively better. Everyone had their own way of cultivating, so insisting on something was not good. Yang Chen, your situation is very unusual. Bao Yu did not hide her lack of confidence in front of Yang Chen. In fact, I don't have a proper idea about how to guide you. I am only your master in name. If you have any questions, you can put it forward to any expert, but I will not demand you to cultivate in a particular way. Perhaps you should have paid respects to a higher level master and not me. Bao Yu was very calm, but Yang Chen was getting more and more pleased. This was the correct way of assuming responsibility and not assuming the face of master and giving him directions flagrantly. Yang Chen was also not very polite and immediately asked about some cultivation problems. Actually, these questions were the problems Gao Yu had not understood and thought about in her previous life. Thinking about Yang Chen's questions, together with his offered possibilities, allowed Gao Yu to have a sudden enlightenment and immediately, without minding Yang Chen. She entered seclusion to comprehend them. The current actions of Yang Chen were very contradictory. On one hand he wanted to remind Gao Yu that she should cultivate a water-attributed cultivation method, and on the other hand, he was assisting her to increase her fire-attributed cultivation. But this was something that he could do nothing about. Yang Chen couldn't just say to her indifferently that she was not suitable for fire-attributed cultivation and had to cultivate the water attribute, could he? Establishing trust and establishing a deep connection were not something which could be done overnight. Currently Yang Chen had no other choice than to do this first, and he was naturally extremely delighted at this. Reviving his master's concern once again was exactly what he had been looking for. He required a chance to settle his master's disputes, so what Yang Chen had to do currently was to secretly influence her and cultivate a deep trust between him and his master, so that at any time his master would have full confidence in him. After bidding farewell to his master, Yang Chen wanted to leave immediately for the hidden pavilion, but before he could leave the second Fierce Yang courtyard, he was stopped by Gongsun Ling. Younger disciple Yang, you had promised that you would refine my pills when I would go to the Immortal Falling Well. Gongsun Ling and Yang Chen did not have any sort of false greeting, she directly extended her hand to invite Yang Chen to discuss. In any case, Yang Chen had already done a great favor for her in the form of the second Fierce Yang courtyard, but Gongsun Ling also didn't mind a little more. I have planned to leave for the Immortal Falling Well soon. What about the pills you have prepared for me? Are you certain about going to the Immortal Falling Well? Yang Chen wrinkled his brows. He had gone to Immortal Falling Well, so he knew that that was a region where people do all sorts of corrupt things, but on the other hand, that place had the geocentric flame, and he had to engage in a huge slaughter to fuse with the will of the Zhantai stage completely, but Gongsun Ling completely did not have to take the risk, at least in his previous life. Gongsun Ling hadn't gone there. In Yang Chen's eyes, the Immortal Falling Well was an ordinary region, but in the eyes of the ordinary people, it was a genuinely dangerous region. Even immortals could fall there. That was the intention behind the name Immortal Falling. Ordinary cultivators entering the Immortal Falling Well could at most wander around in the surroundings of the Lilu village, waiting for an opportunity to kill some spirit beasts and obtain some spirit essences. Only some peak foundation stage cultivators with violent strength would dare to enter the depths. The people who had chased Yang Chen were precisely this kind of people. But currently Gongsun Ling clearly was just at the initial foundation stage, and she desired to go to the Immortal Falling Well to train. This was completely different from his previous life. Although Yang Chen was rather glad about Gongsun Ling's transformation, perhaps now she would not perish within the heavenly tribulation, but this would also increase the dangers on her cultivation path. I want to go. Perhaps if I single-mindedly concentrate on cultivation, then maybe I can increase my cultivation realm effortlessly. Gongsun Lin nodded very sincerely. But then I will forever be unable to gain the sort of experience and trials as younger disciple Yang. Even if I am able to ascend to the spiritual world due to some luck, then I will still just be a cultivation maniac who pays no attention to outside affairs, a zombie, nothing more. I do not want to be that sort of person. Hearing these sentences, Yang Chen confirmed that Gongsun Ling already thought clearly about what she should do to change herself. Regarding Gongsun Ling's decision, Yang Chen could not say anything, although he wanted to say something. But he could do something, like refining the pills Gongsun Ling would require at the Immortal Falling Well. Give me 2 months. Yang Chen did not speak much and only asked Gongsun Ling to wait for 2 months. He wanted to refine all of the pills Gongsun Ling would require for the 10 years at the Immortal Falling Well within these 2 months. Senior apprentice sister, I will be troubling you to go out on a trip to the market in the city to purchase the ingredients to refine the Yang Kai pill and Yuan cultivation pill. All of them? Zhanxian Ling was gobsmacked, this huge amount of ingredients, how many spirit stones would it cost? She certainly didn't have enough spirit stones for this. But soon, after dismissing all of her worries, Yang Chen handed her a Qianqin pouch. Here are 10,000 caddies of low-grade spirit stones, which will be enough to purchase these items. Seeing that Zhanxian Ling was hesitating, thinking about whether she should or should not take these spirit stones, Yang Chen said with a smile. Senior apprentice sister, I have promised to refine pills for your use, surely you would not want to make a person break his words. Zhanxian Ling hesitated for a few moments, finally taking the Qianqin pouch from Yang Chen. In any case, she already owed him many favors, if someday she got an opportunity to pay him off, she would not forget about this. Giving Yang Chen a meaningful glance, filled with complex emotions, she was no longer unreasonable and immediately turned around and stepped on her flying sword to buy these ingredients. Hastily returning to his room, Yang Chen called Shen Da, Gu Qin, Ting Yuan and Ho Lin quickly and instructed them while handing a list of items. Shen Da, Gu Qin, you two must visit all of the markets in the extent of the Miking Mountain and purchase all of these items. After giving them the list of items, he also handed them 4 Qianqin pouches. These 4 were servants, so they still didn't have Qianqin pouches. Yang Chen had killed many people, so right now he had taken out a few of them and erased the imprint of the sect on top of them and gave them to these 4 people. Ho Ling, Ting Yuan, you both also start preparing for concocting pills together with me. These 4 people were servants, so Yang Chen ordered them without any restraint. These 4 people were equally swift in taking the things which Yang Chen had given them, not showing the hesitation which Zhanxian Ling had shown. Ho Lin was going to witness Yang Chen's pill concocting skills again, but it was the first time for Ting Yuan. Both of the females were very excited, most of all Ho Lin. She had emphasized on pill concocting and moreover also heard of the news that Yang Chen had refined the heaven-seizing pill, so to be able to look at Yang Chen's pill concocting was a lucky opportunity for her. Ho Lin, pay good attention to my fire controlling technique. Towards his servant, Yang Chen was not even a little bit stingy. Currently you must practice your control over fire. When you can control it properly, then after this time's refining is complete, I will teach you how to refine the Shunkai pill, so that in the future, the amount of Shunkai pills required by Pure Yang Palace could all be refined by you. These words were a big surprise for Ho Lin. These years she had been cautious and attentively served Yang Chen, and when he was not present, she had painstakingly practiced her control over fire. Finally she had been able to get a reward. Ting Yuan enviously looked at Ho Lin, and Yang Chen also saw the emotions in her gaze, so he faintly smiled. Ting Yuan, you do not need to be jealous, you are fond of researching spirit formations. In the hidden pavilion, there are a few jade slips pertaining to refining tools, some other time I will make a copy for you. You can still refine tools, even if you don't cultivate the fire attribute. Hearing Yang Chen's words, Ting Yuan could not help but feel surprised. Shen Da and Gu Qin didn't say anything, probably because they were male and not good at expressing themselves like females, but fervor was equivalently visible in their eyes. These 4 servants had already followed Yang Chen for more than 11 years. In the beginning they had not accepted him, but after a while they had become quite docile. Moreover, they had attentively served him, without giving him any chance to complain. Yang Chen had observed them for a long time and also finally understood their temperaments. His own servants naturally had to grow. They just happened to have different interests. Ho Lin pill liked concocting, Ting Yuan liked tool refining, Gu Qin researched spell formations, and Shen Da was devoted to cultivation. Each one had their own characteristics, but Yang Chen did not mind having different kinds of assistants at his side. You all have followed me for more than 10 years, currently your cultivation has also increased. I will make a promise to you all. In order to provoke their ambitions, Yang Chen decided to grant them a huge boon. If you all are able to reach the peak of the Kai layer, I will refine 3rd grade foundation stage pills for each one of you. Bang. The 4 servants were as if they had turned to stone in their places, watching Yang Chen attentively and not able to budge in the slightest. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 97. Is this my spirit? See? 3rd grade foundation stage pills, even if cultivators had swelled like an elm tree or were absolute dregs, as long as they could reach the peak Kai layer and take a 3rd grade foundation stage pill, they would surely be able to reach the foundation stage. Shen Da and the other 3 had already reached 6 Kai layer in these 10 years, with the occasional guidance of Yang Chen. From the 3rd Kai layer to 6 Kai layer could be considered as a good cultivation speed. Possibly their comprehension was weak previously, or maybe their luck was not that good and they couldn't keep up with people who had passed on, or maybe they didn't even try their hardest and had thus fallen to become servants. During these 10 years, Yang Chen had observed these four with the help of other people. They were already unswerving towards Yang Chen, even when Chu Heng had done his utmost to deal with Yang Chen, they still hadn't betrayed him. Therefore, this was their deserved reward. Thank you, young master. All four of them were perplexed and directly fell to their knees, deeply bowing towards Yang Chen. Yang Chen was not only helping them with their cultivation, but also opening a path for them to join the ranks of the inner disciples. As long as they reached the foundation stage, they would not have to bear the identity of servants, but could be inner disciples of pure Yang Palace. This kind of change, how could it not move them to tears? The four people even vowed in their hearts that in the future, even if they became inner disciples, they would still regard Yang Chen as their master. But first find the things I need. Yang Chen did not say anything about the appreciation shown by these four and also didn't pay much attention to their secret vow, he only smiled and urged them on. When cultivating, don't try to flaunt and don't try to run before you can walk. Now go. The four people didn't dare to be neglectful. They got up at lightning speed and began to rush to do their tasks. Within a day, all of the materials that Yang Chen needed were in front of him. Ho Lin sat on the side, attentively watching Yang Chen's every movement and looking at the flame moving in the profound spirit furnace. Yang Chen had specifically instructed her to do so, as for how much she could comprehend, that would depend on her own perception. One could refine a Yang Kai pill, as long as one had cultivated to the third Kai layer, but a third-grade Yang Kai pill was not something that third-grade pill masters were willing to refine. Yang Chen's movements were very quick but very clear, mostly because they were specifically for Ho Lin, so even the process of the flames purifying the herbs was extremely clear. His technique was not very complex, but it gave off an unexplainable sensation. Ho Lin only looked at it for a moment and was immediately immersed by it. The third-grade Yang Kai pill was much better compared to a Yuan cultivation pill in terms of results. A third-grade Yang Kai pill was enough to fulfill Gongsun Ling's spirit power requirements for half a day. Adding on to that the abundant spiritual influence of the immortal falling well, Gongsun Ling would absolutely not have any problems regarding a lack of spirit power. As Gongsun Ling was going to stay in the immortal falling well for around 10 years, Yang Chen had refined 7,000 Yang Kai pills for her. In the radius of 2,000 miles, all of the ingredients required for Yang Kai pills had been purchased, leaving none behind. Even those people who were in the business of buying and selling ingredients and herbs had begun to hoard these low-grade ingredients. Apart from the Yang Kai pills, Yang Chen still refined 100 Yuan cultivation pills, which were also at the third grade. Every one of those could be used at a time of injury to recover spirit power and to restore injuries, but this was just to be prepared for any eventualities. Safety issues were still the main concern, but Yang Chen had obtained a fire jade belt from that unknown person who had chased him on his way to the immortal falling well. After Yang Chen had used the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets and the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets to refine it by a few layers, he erased his own spiritual awareness from it. This belt already had the defensive power to protect from attacks of an initial Zhanxian stage cultivator, but after being refined by Yang Chen for a few times, it could endure the attacks from a mid-Zhanxian stage cultivator. He did not prepare anything more. Firstly, Gongsun Ling would not accept it, and secondly, she was going to the immortal falling well to train herself. If her defense was too excessive, the original intention of training and gaining experience would be lost. After 2 months, Gongsun Ling held on to these things. When Yang Chen had given them to her, Gongsun Ling hadn't declined and only looked at Yang Chen with multiple emotions. Afterward she silently received these and properly bidding farewell to Yang Chen, she stepped on her flying sword and controlled it to move towards the immortal falling well. During these 2 months of refining, Ho Lin had carefully observed everything from the beginning to the end for 2 whole months. After sending off Gongsun Ling, Yang Chen began to instruct Ho Lin to refine the Shun Kai pill. This kind of low-level pill completely depended on the ability to manipulate flames. The ingredients were very low-leveled, already unsuitable for Yang Chen to spend his time to refine them. Ho Lin had already practiced her control over flames for more than 9 years, and although there was still a great disparity compared to Yang Chen, she had already reached the level to satisfy the requirements for the Shun Kai pill. Within a few days, Ho Lin had already grasped the technique to refine the Shun Kai pill and began to set dates with the medicine hall to refine the Shun Kai pill and at the same time earned a large number of sex contribution points and spirit stones. Bao Yu was still in the process of comprehending her insights, it seemed that her cultivation would increase again. Yang Chen did not disturb her and after exchanging greetings with everyone, she began her closed-door training again. This time, Yang Chen was planning to attack the first Wood Spirit Power Foundation stage bottleneck. During the time he was refining pills for Gongsun Ling, apart from mechanically refining pills, Yang Chen didn't stay idle and pondered over the possibility of adding the Penglai divine wood branches into the foundation stage pill. If other people knew that Yang Chen, while refining third-grade pills, was still pondering over other things, it would surely make them go mad. Yang Chen had already thought of the method to blend the Penglai Divine Wood's first wood spirit power with the foundation stage pill. The branches and tree leaves of the Penglai Divine Wood were not suitable for making elixirs, but could be used to refine tools, while the most suitable part to be used in medicine were the roots. After he determined this, the number of tests Yang Chen needed would reduce greatly. He only needed to test for a few crucial points, even if it failed, the resulting objects would still be things which people would drool over, so it wouldn't just be wasted. Taking 4 small roots of the Penglai Divine Wood branches, Yang Chen began to refine the third-grade pill. The 4 roots were to be added at 4 crucial points at the time of refining the foundation stage pill. These were the possibilities Yang Chen had come up with after doing tens of thousands of simulations in his mind. The 1,000-year matured profound yang fruit were in fact matured for over 1,300 years, adding in the other ingredients, which were all excellent ingredients with a maturity of over 1,000 years or higher. This furnace of pills, even the leftover ashes, were rare objects. In accordance with the method of making the foundation stage pill, these ingredients were added into the profound spirit furnace, and the geocentric flame began to purify them. When all of the ingredients had turned into a liquid and had been mixed, Yang Chen added the first root. Just as he added the root, Yang Chen immediately discovered a frightening problem. The geocentric fire was surprisingly unable to quickly refine the Penglai Divine Wood. Although, according to the concept of the 5 phases rousing each other, wood gave birth to fire, the Penglai Divine Wood was very high grade and the geocentric flame could not match up to it. Yang Chen was now very glad that he had spent a year to allow the profound spirit furnace to absorb the real sun fire, so now it could be used immediately. If it were some other person, even the original master of the real sun fire, Zhanxian, if the real sun fire were meeting an object like a piece of Penglai Divine Wood which could rouse other phases, it would have led to the Penglai Divine Wood directly being burned to ashes, leaving nothing behind. But in his previous life, Yang Chen was the master of the real sun fire, so he was more familiar with the flame than any other person in the mortal world. Only a trace of the extremely fine thread of fire could have directly penetrated through the small root of the Penglai Divine Wood. On one side he had put his mind to controlling that melted medicinal liquid, on the other side, he was also controlling this trace of flame to refine the roots. Fortunately Yang Chen's spiritual awareness right now was very powerful. The 3 purity secrets were not only making Yang Chen's spiritual awareness become ever more powerful, but were also allowing Yang Chen to put his mind to 2 things, allowing him to accomplish these things effortlessly. After spending a lot of time, that 1 root was finally refined, blending in with the liquid of the foundation stage pill. No mistakes had appeared during the process, which had already been simulated tens of thousands of times, and after 1 month, the medicinal liquid successfully revealed a shallow, green-colored pill. This third-grade foundation stage pill was completely different from ordinary foundation stage pills. The hint of wood attributed spirit power was very obvious on the outside. This was the first pill Yang Chen had tested, and although it was successful, Yang Chen still wanted to compare it with a few other test results, to have a look which one had the best results. Very quickly 4 months had passed and within Yang Chen's achievement ring, there were now 4 green foundation stage pills. Currently these 4 pills were arranged in a row in front of Yang Chen, with their colors ranging from a shallow green to a dark green, revealing the degree of wood attributed spirit power they contained, depending on the color. The 4 roots were added at different times and had produced 4 different types of results, but the most shocking thing was that Yang Chen had refined these 4 foundation stage pills in 4 tries. In other words, his success rate for refining third-grade foundation stage pills was 100%. Refining a foundation stage pill was not a very difficult matter for a high-grade pill concocting master, but a third-grade foundation stage pill was not something that even a third-grade pill concocting master could refine successfully in every try. That Yang Chen had accomplished this would be enough to make people like the Yuning stage experts, Deng Yi and Zhu Peng, feel inferior. Yang Chen needed to penetrate the pills with his spiritual awareness to determine the difference in spirit power between these foundation stage pills. But when he wrapped up the pills in his spiritual awareness, his consciousness all of a sudden appeared within his spirit sea and in front of him were 4 enormous green balls. Yang Chen had absolutely not expected that he would come into the spirit sea at this kind of time, but when he saw the 4 huge green balls, he could not help but let his mouth fall open because of the shock and amazement. Where were these 4 balls? They were clearly the 4 foundation stage pills, magnified to this extent, and the volume of every pill appeared to be several times more than Yang Chen had wanted. What made him even more delighted that he could look at any part inside of these 4 balls, no spot was hidden from his sight. The structure of these 4 pills, their composition, the distribution of spirit power, even the few defects within the pills, at this moment, nothing was hidden from Yang Chen, and everything was laid out in front of him. Could this be an effect of the three purity secrets? Yang Chen did not dare to be sure of any reason why his spirit sea had turned out like this, he was completely unable to understand this. Although in his previous life, he was a Great Principle Golden Immortal, he was the lowest level Great Principle Golden Immortal, and his spirit sea was merely a simple spirit sea, without anything inside. Not to mention the different layers of his spirit sea, he would not even have been able to see the composition of these foundation stage pills. But regardless of what was said, this was not a bad thing for Yang Chen. To be able to analyze these foundation stage pills so clearly, their structure, their composition, their distribution of spirit power and even their defects, what more could a pill concocting master want? This was simply a well-tailored gift for Yang Chen. It would definitely make other pill concocting masters go green with envy. Whatever the reason was for the spirit sea being like this, Yang Chen immediately gave up on analyzing these 4 foundation stage pills and retreated from the spirit sea. After coming out, he immediately began to repeat the contents of the 3 purities secret from his memory, as he knew that the most probable reason for this was precisely the 3 purities secret. Very quickly Yang Chen discovered the origin of this effect. The 3 purities secrets were able to constantly increase the spiritual awareness of cultivators. Compared to other cultivation method for spiritual awareness, they were a lot stronger, but usually, after cultivating for a long time, cultivators would divide their spiritual awareness after it had reached a realm higher than their own. After the spiritual awareness was divided, it meant the appearance of a second primordial spirit, but usually for this kind of condition, it required a cultivation of at least the wielding stage. Because the murderous spirit of the Zhanxian stage had been refined by the 3 purities secret into a large amount of spirit power, Yang Chen had attained this condition long ago, but since his cultivation was very low, he hadn't been able to divide his spiritual awareness to form a primordial spirit. Currently his spiritual awareness had already reached the peak of the Zhanxian stage, but his cultivation was only at the initial foundation stage. This huge difference of almost 2 realms had led to the appearance of this situation, which was not recorded within the 3 purities secret. This is a kind of qualitative change, triggered by the quantitative change was a pleasant accident, and at the same time it signified that Yang Chen had finally reached the 3rd layer cultivation method of the 3 purities secrets. Even if the greatest supreme elder was present at that moment, he would also have admired that lucky opportunity which Yang Chen had received. Since it was such a good thing, Yang Chen naturally did not hesitate to cultivate the 3rd layer of the 3 purities secrets. That sensation of the spiritual awareness being refined gave Yang Chen some anguish, but then that familiar pleasurable feeling appeared again. Just using it once, Yang Chen was able to sense that his spirit sea had become even more refined, it truly was the greatest supreme elder's cultivation method, powerful to the extreme. The 4 foundation stage pills in front of him had not entered his spirit sea before, with just one look within the spirit sea, Yang Chen had determined that these were merely the projections of those foundation stage pills after they had been scanned by his spiritual awareness. Once he entered the spirit sea, Yang Chen had already experimented with the method for coming out, the size of the pills changed, according to Yang Chen's wishes, allowing him to see their inside composition even more easily. Within the spirit sea, Yang Chen could cover everything at a single glance. The 4 pills were being thoroughly analyzed by Yang Chen to the utmost. Where was the heat control imperfect, when was there a deficiency in the ingredients being added, in a pill that Yang Chen had previously believed to be perfect, he found more than 10 defects. Naturally, he also found the most perfect pill he wanted. But these were not the pills which Yang Chen was going to use immediately, rather, according to the method of refining this foundation stage pill, he would have to replace the minor root of the Penglide Divine Wood with the main root and refine it again. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 98 Foundation Stage, Foundation Stage, Foundation Stage. Replacing a thin, minor root with a master root was naturally a completely different concept. This kind of common sense, even an ordinary person was able to understand it. Naturally, cultivators understood the difference between the accumulated spirit power, as well as the difference between their functions even more clearly. Yang Chen had begun with 4 pills, they were merely tests after all, and still far from genuinely refined foundation stage pills. This time, Yang Chen was even more serious, and the refining time was longer by 2 or 3 times. Naturally, the cause for the long duration was the time needed to refine the master root of the Penglide Divine Wood, which was many times longer, and it was also more difficult compared to refining the small, minor root. Just this one step had taken a few months for Yang Chen. The strength of the master root could clearly be ascertained from the fact that this was the result of Yang Chen controlling the real sun fire with all of his strength for the entire duration. Selecting the best quality of profound yang fruits and the best complementary ingredients, as well as the thickest master root within the forest of Penglide Divine Wood trees, just this had used up 1/4 of the medicine garden spirit power. and Yang Chen was merely using them to reach the foundation stage. This was simply too wasteful. After 2 months, the final product was a dark green pill with 3 clear pill patterns on top of it in the shape of a miniature Penglide Divine Wood tree. The 3rd grade Divine Wood Foundation Stage pill. Those minor defects in the previous pills had been reduced by a lot under Yang Chen's meticulous control, becoming more and more perfect. The concentrated medicinal Kai hovering over the pill immediately made people realize how extraordinary this pill was. After making careful preparations, Yang Chen put that perfect pill into his mouth. As soon as the dragon eye-size pill entered his mouth, it dissolved into the essence of Penglide Divine Wood, which Yang Chen was familiar with, and rushed directly towards Yang Chen's lungs. Surging violently through his meridians, the spirit power of the Penglide Divine Wood started tyrannically blending with his first wood spirit power. After a short amount of time, it had completely assimilated with the first wood spirit power within Yang Chen's body, without any restraints. This process was far more gentle compared to when Yang Chen had used the real sun fire to compress the 3rd fire spirit power. For every trace of spirit power he purified, a huge amount of spirit power was consumed. All of this loss had to be made up by the spirit power produced from the 5 phases of yin and yang spirit power within Yang Chen's body, as well as the spirit power that was supplied by the 3rd grade foundation stage pill. The 5 phases of yin and yang 5 secrets were circulating crazily as Yang Chen was about to make up for the deficiency of the first wood spirit power after he had assimilated the essence of the Penglide Divine Wood. When the essence of the Penglide Divine Wood had accumulated a sufficient amount of first wood spirit power, Yang Chen began to fight over controlling the essence of the Penglide Divine Wood. Simply speaking, Yang Chen was using up an enormous amount of spirit power to compress the essence of the Penglide Divine Wood to the peak and then split it up trace by trace to transform it, and afterwards he began to absorb and refine these traces and turn them into a part of his own 5 phases of yin and yang type spirit power. Yang Chen extracted a trace from the essence of the Penglide Divine Wood which he had taken into his body, and then he absorbed and refined it, while at the same time allowing his meridians to adjust to this extremely pure first wood spirit power. This process lasted for a whole 2 months. When the final trace of the Penglide Divine Wood spirit power was thoroughly absorbed by Yang Chen once again entered the state of linking the energy of heaven and earth. This was already the 3rd time in this life that Yang Chen had entered this state. The spirit power hiding the sky and covering the earth rushed in from all directions and converged within Yang Chen's body, replenishing the first wood spirit power he had just refined to the peak again. This situation could astonish anyone. This lasted for around half an hour. When an ordinary cultivator would build his foundation, the linking of heaven and earth would only last for a very short time, but this time Yang Chen had set a whole new record. This strange matter even made the palace master, who was cultivating within the 2nd fierce yang courtyard at this time, stop his cultivation and wait outside of Yang Chen's closed-door training room. Naturally, the palace master would not do anything rash to interrupt Yang Chen's cultivation or do anything to disturb him. The same as him, another person had also come here because of this strange occurrence, and that was Yang Chen's master, Gao Yu. As the first wood spirit power reached the foundation stage, it also urged the spirit power of the remaining attributes to increase frantically. The long time it took in the process of linking up the heaven and earth has led to the spirit power within Yang Chen's body frantically rushing to the peak of the Kai layer within just half an hour after making a breakthrough. Consequently, Yang Chen had no option but to build a foundation in his remaining 7 attributes of spirit power at the same time. This was another crazy process which would astonish people. After the first wood spirit power had finished linking the heaven and earth within half an hour, an even larger scale insurrection of the energy of heaven and earth began at the 2nd fierce yang courtyard inside of Yang Chen's room. Even when a Jiadan stage expert congealed his Dan, it still didn't not produce this kind of enormous activity. All of the spirit power of heaven and earth within the 100-meter radius of the 2nd fierce yang courtyard was crazily rushing over there as if it was being sucked by a massive black hole. This was to the extent that even many people cultivating in the inner Pure Yang Palace discovered the anomaly. A few people at the grade of an elder immediately flew into the air and in a flash they arrived at the 2nd fierce yang courtyard. But when they discovered the palace master standing outside of the room where Yang Chen was doing his closed-door training, they all silently understood and didn't say anything, quietly landing behind the palace master. The 2nd fierce yang courtyard didn't have many people permanently residing in it, all of the elders clearly knew who they were, and currently, apart from Gongsun Ling and Yang Chen, all the other people had already arrived there. Gongsun Ling had already left for the Immortal Falling Well, so the elders didn't even need to use their spiritual awareness to know who was inside of the room. The large amount of spiritual influence of heaven and earth had formed a huge whirlpool in the sky above Yang Chen's room, and at the bottom of the whirlpool was Yang Chen. Yang Chen's body was like a huge sponge, frantically absorbing the spirit power which was refined and purified by the reverse 5 phases of yin and yang secrets in his body and was turned into a part of his own spirit power. Yang Chen's consciousness had already appeared within his spirit sea at this moment. The spirit sea, which originally had a blood-colored river, as well as a sun in the sky with a long river of geocentric magma beneath it, at this moment also held a large number of gargantuan trees. These huge trees had also firmly taken root at the side of the blood-colored river. The long roots even extended to the magma river underneath, while the height of the huge trees was barely touching the sun in the sky. The thick tree trunks stood with indomitable spirit, forming a bridge between heaven and earth. The outline of the spirit sea had already expanded to the size of 5-second fierce yang courtyards, having a radius of at least 100 hectares. Yang Chen was standing in the middle, able to sense its vastness. The blood-colored river had become even longer, cutting the spirit sea into 2 parts horizontally. What happened here? Seeing the strange appearance of heaven and earth spirit power constantly surging in, everyone outside of Yang Chen's room was dumbfounded. Nobody knew what had happened. But everyone had come to the same conclusion, that this was definitely a good thing. The linking of heaven and earth continued for half an hour, but the people standing outside weren't impatient for even a second. Those fellow cultivators who were of the same generation as Yang Chen as well as the servants, although they were curious about what was happening, at the same time they also used this chance to cultivate. Just cultivating there for a small amount of time led to much better results. As for the palace master, the other Yuning stage experts and Gao Yu, they were guessing what had happened with Yang Chen that would cause these circumstances to continue for so long. But everyone knew about these circumstances because everyone there had experienced it. This clearly was the process of linking the heaven and earth at the time of building the foundation. It was just that nobody had ever seen this much activity at that time and neither had it continued for such a long time. On one hand, everyone was waiting and on the other, they were deeply pondering about it. Finally the violent convergence of the spirit power of heaven and earth started to ease up and then finally slowed down. Everyone relaxed within their hearts, knowing that this was already the final juncture. The palace master suddenly thought of something Zhanxian had told him. Apparently, at the Heavenly Stairs assembly, Yang Chen had said that he had already cultivated the spirit power of all 5 phases, supposedly in order to sense what the spirit power of other attributes felt like. In addition to that, the palace master himself had sensed earlier that, although the fire-attributed spirit power was most prominent in his body, spirit power of the other attributes did indeed also exist. But at that moment the palace master had remembered Zhanxian's words, so he knew that Yang Chen had gained this experience, and he had also proved it in front of Zhanxian by controlling fire as water and controlling fire as earth, therefore he hadn't paid much attention to it at that time. But currently, seeing the long time it required to link up heaven and earth made him think of another possibility. Yang Chen couldn't possibly have succeeded in building his foundation in the spirit power of all 5 attributes, right? This thought made the palace master extremely frightened. Cultivating all 5 phases simultaneously and reaching the foundation stage at the same time, how could the labeled talented disciple be enough to describe him? Even using monster would not be enough for him. How was this possible? If it were a Yuning stage cultivator who had reached the foundation stage in the rest of the other attributes, then the palace master would have believed it, but a person who had only recently built his foundation in the fire attribute had unexpectedly built his foundation in all of the 5 phases of spirit power. If someone heard this thought, they would surely treat it as a joke. Even if Yang Chen was very hardworking, where did he get the time to cultivate? He knew that Yang Chen had a reputation of being lazy in cultivation in the 9 Earth manner, even in the second fierce Yang courtyard, apart from these 2 seclusions, all of the remaining time he was idling around. So how was it possible that he had reached the foundation stage in all of the 5 phases? But if this was not true, then how could the current circumstances be explained? Third palace master was very confused, he was hoping that Yang Chen could immediately finish and come out so that he could ask him and clear everything up. As a consequence of linking the energy of heaven and earth, it had allowed Yang Chen's 5 phases of yin and yang secrets to form an equilibrium once again. This was the state Yang Chen was the most comfortable in, and also the one where his fighting strength was the most powerful. Originally he had planned that he would refine the profound spirit furnace and sword box with the heavenly stars treasure refining secrets and earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets using the spirit power of the 5 phases of yin and yang secrets immediately afterwards, but Yang Chen quickly discovered the people standing outside of his gate. Even his master and the palace master were among them. Yang Chen had no other choice but to go out, immediately ending his seclusion. I pay my respects to master, I pay my respects to palace master and the other elders. After coming, apart from paying his respects to those seniors, he did not make any other movements. Everyone held back for the moment he was greeting them, but afterwards they surrounded him and started examining him. At this moment Yang Chen's 5 phases of yin and yang had been balanced again, so he had automatically developed a mysterious and reserved temperament. Although he seemed as if he had returned to his true self, everyone, including Gao Yu, could sense the formidable strength of the 5 phases spirit power silently circulating inside of his body. Perhaps in the eyes of those great experts, this spirit power was not worth much, but they were experienced people, so they could naturally estimate Yang Chen's strength. Yang Chen, who had just reached the foundation stage and was only at the first layer of the foundation stage, could actually handle more than 10 cultivators at the same level, and this was still the most reserved estimation. Even middle foundation stage cultivators may not be Yang Chen's opponent, perhaps only upper foundation stage or peak foundation stage cultivators could be evenly matched with Yang Chen. This foundation stage disciple has yet again managed to astonish them. The palace master did not know what to say, and Gao Yu, who was worried about her disciple, could not bear it anymore and, in front of all of these people, she asked Yang Chen. "Yang Qi, what was all of that hubbub about? Were you building your foundation?" "Yes, master." Yang Chen answered very respectfully. Within a moment he had already thought about how to deal with these elders. "You have cultivated spirit power of all 5 phases at the same time, aren't you afraid that you will not be able to differentiate between your primary and secondary attribute?" Gao Yu's eyebrows almost turned into a knot. Since she had started cultivation, she had never before heard of anyone cultivating all 5 phases simultaneously and moreover cultivating them successfully. There had been some cultivators who had cultivated the 5 phases, but their outcomes were very miserable. Everyone knew that people like Yang Chen, who could gain this kind of benefit, were very rare. This disciple was still focusing on cultivating the fire attribute, but somehow the other attributes were also raised to the foundation stage. This disciple hadn't anticipated this. As before, Yang Chen replied extremely respectfully to Gao Yu's questions, while at the same time dispelling the doubts of the other elders. "If you haven't focused on the other attributes, then how did you reach the foundation stage?" Gao Yu asked while being entirely confused. This question was also on the minds of the palace master and the other elders. Having Gao Yu ask these questions in their place was better than asking themselves, as they were all dumbstruck on the scene. This disciple has carelessly refined a foundation stage pill and wanted to test its results. The outcome is the current situation. Yang Chen replied honestly as before. "What sort of foundation stage pill?" This time the palace master rushed ahead of Gao Yu to ask the question. As the palace master, he immediately realized that this was the most important point. "This is the pill refined by this disciple, I invite palace master to have a look." Yang Chen took out the top quality foundation stage pill from his achievement ring and clasping it in both hands, he put it in front of the palace master. A 3rd grade foundation stage pill. As soon as the palace master took the pill, he immediately discovered the strangeness of the pill and cried out on the spot in surprise. The cry of the palace master immediately caught the attention of the other Yuning stage elders. All of them immediately came over and looked at the pill in the palace master's hand one by one, wishing that they could immediately snatch it and carefully examine it. There were 3 clear patterns on the pill, which confirmed the grade of the pill without a doubt. This certainly was a pill that had been refined 3 times, but why was the color of the foundation stage pill green? This strong wood attribute spirit power, what is it? Holding the pill in his hand, the palace master immediately sensed the wood attributed spirit power contained within it and asked softly. "Fusang wood? Science sun wood? Not correct, they aren't this powerful, could it be that this is Penglai divine wood?" Bang! The Yuning elders lost all of the aloofness of Yuning stage elders and immediately cried out in alarm, one by one, as if something inside of them had broken. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 99 Real Pure Yang Fire. Penglai Divine Wood, this was a legendary resource, and surprisingly it had appeared within this pill. How was this possible? All of the Yuning stage elders wished that they could immediately grab this pill and investigate it properly, only the status of the palace master was stopping them from this, as doing this would indeed be going too far. But still they had completely surrounded the palace master. The foundation stage pill, even a 3rd grade foundation stage, didn't hold much value for them as they had already reached the foundation stage countless years ago. At most Yang Chen's ability to refine a 3rd grade pill would be considered as an extremely gifted disciple within the sect who should be cultivated very carefully. But Penglai divine wood was different, it could be used to refine the most powerful of flying swords. If a wood attributed cultivator got it by luck, then it simply could be considered as one of the very best magic weapons in the mortal world. Only, this kind of object was really too precious, even the palace master was unable to directly determine that the essence of this pill was that of the Penglai divine wood. He only eliminated a few types of high-grade, wood-attributed materials and deduced the result. After the palace master had looked, the pill passed through the hands of the Yuning stage elders, and after each of them had carefully recognized it, nobody dared to dispute that the pure wood attributed essence in the pill did not belong to the legendary Penglai divine wood. Yang Chen, the wood attributed spirit essences of what material? As soon as everyone had finished looking, the palace master hinted everyone to come to the room where official business could be held in the second Fierce Yang courtyard, as it was indeed not proper for the group of elders to stand in that small courtyard. Only after everyone had been seated did the palace master open his mouth to ask. I don't know. Yang Chen directly lied. I came across a small piece of wood which contained a strong wood attributed spirit power, so I just tried to use this wood attributed spirit power and refine the foundation stage pill with it, but I didn't expect that I would succeed in the first try. What about that piece of wood? The palace master impatiently asked, but after immediately realizing that he was forgetting his manners, he slowly added one more sentence. Do you still have it? Although the other Yuning stage experts hadn't said anything, all of them were expecting him to reply affirmatively. I only have this small piece left. Originally he had planned to say that he didn't have any, but changing his plans, he took out a finger-thick piece of a Penglai divine wood branch and placed it into the palace master's hand. This finger-sized part had broken off and the rest I used for refining. This. Holding the fresh and green branch in his hand, the palace master sensed an even richer wood attributed spirit power when compared to the pill. Even his fingers started shaking. The gazes of these few Yuning stage experts also fixed on this, not willing to budge. Even holding it within his hand, the palace master did not dare to ascertain that this was Penglai divine wood. He still wanted everyone to observe it and identify it, only then would he agree with the result. After all, this kind of thing was an object of legends, who could recognize it right away? Even that mountain god was duped by it, so what about people at the level of the palace master? After the small branch passed through everyone's hands, the gaze of the palace master shifted to the third-grade foundation stage pill in front of him. Perhaps it shouldn't just be called a third-grade foundation stage pill, instead it should be called as a third-grade divine wood foundation stage pill. Third-grade foundation stage pill. Lifting his head, the palace master looked at Yang Chen and his lips seemed to dry out. Was this refined by you? Yes, this disciple has refined it. Yang Chen would naturally not deny it, this would certainly increase his status in the Pure Yang Palace, how could Yang Chen not take the credit? The palace master was still the palace master, after his initial excitement of obtaining the Penglai divine wood was gone, he immediately began to think about the affairs of the Pure Yang Palace, and what could make him happier than a disciple who had just reached the foundation stage, but was able to refine a third-grade foundation stage pill. And was moreover also able to refine the Penglai divine wood. Disregarding the fact that Yang Chen taken such a third-grade foundation stage pill, while it contained Penglai divine wood, which had allowed all of his 5 attributes to reach the foundation stage, even if the pill did not contain Penglai divine wood, if Yang Chen could make this kind of pill for all of the outer disciples, what would be consequences for the Pure Yang Palace? Even Zhu Chentao, who was a well-known middle Jidan stage third-grade pill concocting master, could he have certainty to refine a third-grade foundation stage pill at every attempt? The Shunkai pill had increased the number of outer disciple of the Pure Yang Palace by a lot, and as the news of refining a heaven-seizing pill had spread, the number of new disciples had almost tripled that year, and now, a third-grade foundation stage pill, which could definitely allow all of the P-Kai layer disciples to reach the foundation stage. All of this had something to do with Yang Chen. Could it be possible that Yang Chen was second coming of Pure Yang Palace's great ancestor? It had to be said that Yang Chen's deeds had sealed this fact. The dime eye of the second Fierce Yang courtyard, the Penglai divine wood, scaling the peak of the heavenly stairs, those 200,000 spirit essences, nobody would believe that a mere foundation stage disciple had all of this, but these things were all events which had actually already happened. The more he thought about the things which Yang Chen had done, the more the palace master was satisfied, but at the same time the more he loathed Chu Heng, who had suppressed Yang Chen. He was even more resentful towards Liang Xiaoming of the Luminous Moon Hall. How much time did you need to refine this kind of third-grade foundation stage pill? Fiddling with the pill, the palace master was examining it over and over, and this time he discovered that, apart from the wood-attributed spirit power, there was still an exceedingly high amount of differently attributed spirit power inside of the pill. Even the palace master was amazed again and again when he sensed this exceedingly high amount of spirit power. A 1,000-year profound yang fruit was used in this third-grade pill, and all of the assisting ingredients used were at least matured for 1,000 years, naturally it would be brimming with spirit power, which could alarm and astonish anyone. But the palace master did not know this, he merely concluded that it was the result of refining the pill 3 times. This kind of pill which contains wood-attributed spirit power will require at least 8 months. Yang Chen answered cleverly, increasing the time by at least 2 times and said. If it was a normal foundation stage pill, it would still require at least 4 months. Then. The palace master nodded on hearing Yang Chen's reply. The time was not very excessive, but it was also something which would allow everyone to receive such a pill. Pondering about it for some time, the palace master once again asked a related question. What if it is a second-grade foundation stage pill? That one is simple. This time Yang Chen didn't conceal anything and sincerely replied. 1 month. Hearing Yang Chen's reply, the palace master didn't say anything for a long time and only muttered to himself, pointing his gaze towards the Penglai divine wood, which was being swapped in the hands of the elders, making a round trip, again. Yang Chen. After a long time, the palace master opened his mouth to call out to Yang Chen, as if he had figured something out. This disciple is here. Yang Chen hurriedly replied. Are you willing to hand over this one branch to the sect? With his gaze fixed on that one branch of Penglai divine wood, the palace master asked to probe him, all with a tone of having a discussion. This disciple is willing. Yang Chen didn't think about it much and directly answered. Since he had already taken it out in order to deliver it to the sect, Yang Chen would definitely not refuse. As for this pill. The palace master thought for a moment while fiddling with Yang Chen's third-grade pill and said. Can you also deliver it to the sect to allow Zhu Chentao to research it? Yes. Yang Chen nodded without feeling any dissatisfaction, as he never had any intentions of taking it back after he had taken it out. If he had not taken out some real material, how could his status increase in the Pure Yang Palace? The sect will not just take away your things. The palace master looked into Yang Chen's eyes and slowly said. If you have any request, raise it without hesitation. If the sect is able to satisfy it, then we will not be stingy. The few elders had already stopped observing the Penglai divine wood and were carefully listening to the conversation between the palace master and Yang Chen. When the palace master had asked Yang Chen to raise any request without hesitation, none of them raised any objection. This was clearly something which belonged to Yang Chen. This point was enough to make even Elder Lin, who had conflicts with Yang Chen, unable to say anything. Having a dispute within the sect did not mean that because of it, they would also hinder the development of sect. Yang Chen was a talented disciple who had constantly given them many nice surprises, and currently he had selflessly delivered some Penglai divine wood, an object of legends, to them. If they still had anything more to say, that was just offending everyone in the sect. These were elders who had cultivated to the wielding stage. If they still couldn't open their minds, then they were not worthy of being elders. And moreover, with the possibility that they would require Yang Chen's help to refine a heaven-seizing pill someday, it dissolved any issues with this. So whether in public or in private, they couldn't find any reason to fight against it. This disciple wants to know, what was the outcome of the negotiation with the greatest heaven sect? Yang Chen didn't request anything, instead he first asked a question. This problem was directly related to Yang Chen, because Li Qingchen of the greatest heaven sect and Chu Heng had sent people to kill Yang Chen together, and then, at that time in the law enforcement hall, the palace master had requested Zhu Chengxin to negotiate in anger. The greatest heaven sect has apologized to our Pure Yang Palace and you because of the matters at the heavenly stairs. The palace master hadn't anticipated that Yang Chen would ask this, so after recovering from his distraction, he continued to reply. The greatest heaven sect has already relieved Cheng Wenkai of all duties related to the sect and has also given their quota of 2 disciples for the heavenly stairs assembly next year to us. In addition, the 19 Jidan stage experts who were involved in plotting against you all had their sects compensate to some extent. The palace master attached a lot of importance to this issue, so he remembered these details clearly. There is a flying sword, 16 types of pills, a pill furnace, and a piece of immortal yang tree. Their reply had come not too long ago, but you were still in seclusion, therefore the sect replied in your place. As for the matter of Li Qingchen sending people to kill you. The palace master paused, as if wanting to allow Yang Chen to get prepared for something. The official position of the greatest heaven sect is that this is a personal matter between you and Li Qingchen, and that greatest heaven sect will not personally step in to protect him. You can look for him at any time to settle this personal grudge, and both sects will not interfere in any way. Are you satisfied with this? Satisfied, Yang Chen was naturally satisfied. The greatest heaven sect had suffered a loss of 4 Jidan stage experts, still had to apologize, and also had to give up their quota. This was a course of action from which everyone could see that they had admitted their mistake, so how could Yang Chen be dissatisfied? Even if Yang Chen had received virtually no benefits, he was still very satisfied, let alone demanding anything more. A very small Qianqin pouch appeared in the palace master's hand. It clearly contained those things of compensation, but he didn't hand it over directly to Yang Chen and rather asked him. The sect is holding your things, naturally we will not take it away without giving you anything, what do you require? "It is up to Palace Master." Yang Chen immediately retreated, leaving everything for the Palace Master to decide. It was obvious that, if the Palace Master had not taken out some benefits, among those elders was his Grand Master, Gao Yu's master, Elder Wang Yong, who would not agree. Thus, to make it appear as if he was not seeking any rewards, it would leave an even greater impression on the upper echelons. "Since the Penglai Divine Wood is really hard to come by, I will give you some options to pick from." The Palace Master did not push Yang Chen a lot, he was used to bossing people around, so he had his own attitude. Pondering for 1 second, he immediately thought of a way. "You are a fire-attributed cultivator. My Pure Yang Palace has hoarded the real Pure Yang fire for several generations. This secret has not been divulged to anyone other than the sect leader and a few elders. I will grant you the status of an official disciple and bestow the real Pure Yang flame to you. There is also a piece of dark flame crystal stone, although it is not as precious as Penglai Divine Wood, but it is still a fire-attributed treasure which can be used as a top-grade material for refining a flying sword. The other parts can be brought using contribution points and spirit stones, you can pick any one among these." Hearing the Palace Master's words, Yang Chen was pleased beyond his expectations. The Palace Master had surprisingly given him the option to choose any one among the real Pure Yang fire and dark flame crystal. What more did Yang Chen needed to think about? This disciple chooses the real Pure Yang fire. Almost without any thinking, Yang Chen immediately picked the real Pure Yang fire. It had to be known that this was an even higher flame than the real sun fire. Only the core, fire-attributed disciples of the Pure Yang Palace had a chance to try their hands at it, and even that was only a chance and nothing more. The nature of the real Pure Yang fire was very tyrannical. Even if it was a Yuning stage expert, he would still not be able to absorb and refine it. According to his previous life's memory, nobody within the mortal world or spiritual world had used this real Pure Yang flame, only in the immortal world had fire-attributed experts shown it occasionally. This was an extremely rare item. Within the Pure Yang Palace, only the Grand Ancestor used to possess the real Pure Yang fire, and this was also the origin for the name of the Pure Yang Palace. There wasn't anyone in the younger generation who had refined it. When the Pure Yang Palace was destroyed in his previous life, the real Pure Yang fire was also destroyed by the Palace Master at the final moment. From then on, the real Pure Yang fire didn't exist in the mortal world. In his previous life, Yang Chen didn't have the qualifications to touch the real Pure Yang flame, and even if he had the qualifications, he didn't have the ability to refine it. But in this life, this opportunity was arranged for him, making Yang Chen simply overjoyed. You should think this over properly. The Palace Master apparently also had a desire for Yang Chen to take it, as nobody in the Pure Yang Palace had been able to refine the real Pure Yang flame after the Great Ancestor, and it had just become a decorative item in the Pure Yang Palace. Yang Chen's control over fire was clear to all, maybe he would be able to inherit it and make full use of it to develop the Pure Yang Palace. Although he had these kinds of expectations in his mind, the Palace Master still reminded Yang Chen. You will not be able to refine the real Pure Yang fire at least until you ascend, but you can refine the dark flame crystal as soon as you reach the Jidan stage. Do you still want the real Pure Yang flame? This disciple still selects the real Pure Yang flame. Yang Chen answered firmly once again, without caring for the prompting of his great master, and also not caring about the anxious looks of his master, Gao Yu. Good. The Palace Master carefully looked at Yang Chen for a good moment, confirming that Yang Chen wasn't joking. Then, flipping his hand, a square-shaped transparent case appeared in his hand. The top of the case was covered with all sorts of sealing spell formations. Through the case it could be seen that the inside was filled with a white dazzling light, flickering continuously. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 100. The Great Master can also give pointers. Together with that original Qianqin pouch, the Palace Master delivered the real Pure Yang flame to Yang Chen. After Yang Chen had respectfully accepted it, the Palace Master waved his hand, and immediately a divine light entered Yang Chen's spirit sea. This was a chant used for opening the seals on the real Pure Yang fire. Foundation Stage, 3rd Grade Pill Concocting Master, Yang Chen, I will await the day when you refine the real Pure Yang fire. The Palace Master wasn't pretending even a little while saying these words, he was indeed sincerely expecting this outcome. But you can only keep this for at most 300 years. Once this time is over, it will automatically return to the secret pavilion of my Pure Yang Palace, so you must hurry up. This disciple will surely try to do his best and not disappoint the Palace Master and the elders. Yang Chen immediately expressed his gratitude and determination, but in his mind he was thinking that it was really fortunate that he had taken out the branch of Penglai Divine Wood. If it hadn't been for that, it would still take countless years before he could gain access to the real Pure Yang fire. In other words, only the Palace Master of the Pure Yang Palace could open the secret pavilion of the Pure Yang Pavilion and take out the flame from within. Apparently the palace master was quite confident in Yang Chen, he had even imparted him the technique to control it. It had to be known that, without this technique, even Elder Wu would likely not be able to open those seals. After he had been bestowed with this reward and all of the doubts had been cleared, the palace master, who had just obtained the Penglai divine wood, didn't stay much longer in the room and immediately went to look for a place to research that one minor Penglai divine wood branch together with the other elders. If this was successful, maybe the Puryang palace would also have a few more divine items, aside from the real Puryang fire. Wang Yong stayed behind as everyone else turned to leave, but when the palace master turned around to ask him for a reason, he just waved his hand to decline. This old man is fire attributed and this Penglai divine wood has no connection with me, I still want to give some pointers to my disciple's disciple. These words were reasonable, so nobody said anything and allowed Wang Yong to remain behind. Bao Yu, together with Yang Chen, were still respectfully waiting on one side and only after everyone had entirely disappeared without leaving no trace did Wang Yong slap the table and complain to Yang Chen. "Youngster, why didn't you look at me for advice, how could you pick the real Puryang fire? This disciple just wants to test whether this disciple has the karmic luck or not." Confronting his own great master, Yang Chen didn't dare to be impudent and answered the question with an extremely respectful attitude. "Karmic luck?" Wang Yong was startled but didn't immediately refute Yang Chen, evidently he had recalled Yang Chen's deeds in these past few years and apparently Yang Chen really had a heaven-defying fortune, otherwise how was it possible that, as soon as he paid his respects to his master, he could immediately find a spirit vein which was clearly not inferior to the master spirit vein of the Puryang palace. Moreover he had also ascended to the peak of the heavenly stairs and he had the strength to refine a heaven-seizing pill when he was at the Kai layer, how could the person who achieved all this not be blessed by great fortune? Fine. Experimenting a bit is also good. After thinking about this clearly, Wang Yong nodded, not questioning him again. That dark flame crystal is now an opportunity lost forever, if worst comes to worst, when your cultivation has increased some more, refine a few high-grade elixirs and exchange them for it. But unfortunately, regarding the matter of pill concoction, this old man and you will not be of much help to you. Even Wang Yong had no option other than admitting defeat against the achievements of this grand disciple with regards to pill concoction. After all, while Wang Yong was also a fire-attributed cultivator the same as Gao Yu, he mostly concentrated on fights and on refining tools, but he was not so proficient in the field of concocting pills. Yang Chen had refined a third-grade foundation stage pill at a very young age, with just a cultivation of the foundation stage, which naturally proved that he had an innate talent with regards to this. Maybe Yang Chen really had a chance with regards to this real Puryang fire. In his previous life Yang Chen did not have a lot of contact with Wang Yong, after Yang Chen had formally become Gao Yu's disciple, Wang Yong had already begun his seclusion to attack the bottleneck for reaching the Dacheng stage and by the time when the Puryang palace had met with an accident, Wang Yong had been unable to break through. In the end, to save his grand disciple, he had perished while taking down an enemy Yuanying stage expert with him, it was indeed very unfortunate. After Yang Chen's rebirth, he would not allow this kind of tragedy to happen again. Although Wang Yong hadn't said much, his intentions for Yang Chen's safety were very clear. Yang Chen could naturally sense this kind of care. But Yang Chen also knew that Wang Yong still cared for Gao Yu more, after all Wang Yong and Yang Chen did not have a lot of contact with each other, Yang Chen was more of a package deal with his master. But for Yang Chen, that Wang Yong was safeguarding Gao Yu was the best possible outcome. Hearing Wang Yong's words, Yang Chen immediately began to talk. "Many thanks, great master, for your care, this grand disciple will strive harder and will absolutely not fail to meet great master's expectations." After thinking about this, Yang Chen's faith in Wang Yong increased even more. He had already initiated his plans at the Puryang palace and now, being under the watch of his great master, some matters could naturally be solved very easily now. "Great master, this disciple requests you to place restrictive formations on the surroundings. Grand disciple does not want other people to hear the following words." Yang Chen said very sincerely to Wang Yong. His facial expression was extremely serious, even Gao Yu hadn't seen such seriousness in Yang Chen's face before. Wang Yong was startled and wrinkled his brows, but he didn't say anything, so with a wave of his hand, he placed a restrictive formation and said. "Good, I have already placed a restrictive formation, now if you have something to say, speak freely." "This is not enough, great master." Yang Chen resolutely shook his head, not even caring about giving face to Wang Yong. "This matter is of the greatest importance, great master, I must request you to place at least 9 layers of restrictions." Yang Chen. Gao Yu immediately berated him loudly, Wang Yong was Gao Yu's master, but Yang Chen unexpectedly didn't even feel relieved with him. Yang Chen's words also made Wang Yong curious. What kind of secret was it that required 9 layers of restrictions to ensure that it didn't leak? He attentively looked in Yang Chen's eyes for a good moment, and the majestic pressure of a Yuning stage elder also began to lightly push on Yang Chen, but Yang Chen acted as if he hadn't sensed anything and stubbornly shook his head. Not enough, Great Master. Good. Wang Yong was also affected by Yang Chen's seriousness. With a great wave of his hand, 10 layers of restrictions immediately sealed the room used for official business, where the 3 of them were. After everything had been arranged properly, Wang Yong sat down and fixed his gaze on Yang Chen. Very well, now even the palace master cannot know about the contents of our conversation without alarming me. You wanted to say anything, speak. Yang Chen didn't say anything, instead he took out the jade box containing the heaven-seizing pill, which Elder Wu had given him from his achievement ring, and placed it in front of Wang Yong. What is this? Wang Yong fearfully asked. There were sealing talismans and spell formations on the box, which were made by a Dacheng stage expert. They could even make this Yuning stage expert sense fear and trepidation. What kind of object was forbidden like this? This kind of sealing was comparable with the seals on the real Pure Yang fire. Great Master, this box has 9 layers altogether, and every layer also has strong restricting seals. Yang Chen said, pointing towards the jade box. These are the seals made by Elder Wu himself. Inside of these seals is precisely the heaven-seizing pill. Heaven-seizing pill. Not only Wang Yong, even Gao Yu standing on the side cried out in fear simultaneously. Even Wang Yong, who was a Yuning stage elder, whose mental state would not change even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of his eyes, couldn't help but cry out with surprise and asked Yang Chen in a questioning tone, with his voice trembling. Could it be that this is the heaven-seizing pill refined for Elder Wu? Or is it that you actually refined 2 pills? Wang Yong had lost his self-control. If even a Dacheng stage expert like Elder Wu, who was going to ascend very soon, lost his color upon seeing a heaven-seizing pill, then what about a trifling Yuning stage elder? The first thought in Wang Yong's mind was precisely that Yang Chen had refined more than one heaven-seizing pill, otherwise, after Elder Wu used 1 pill, where did the extra heaven-seizing pill come from? Georgia Yu had already been in shock for quite a while. Such a powerful object made Gao Yu simply unable to believe what she was seeing and what she was hearing. No wonder Yang Chen had treated the matter with such consideration. If Gao Yu had known this, let alone 9 layers, she would have asked to put up 18 layers of restrictions. The excessive shock made Gao Yu lose the ability to speak and left her rooted to the ground, flabbergasted and not even able to move. It seemed that Yang Chen was already prepared for this kind of situation, as he immediately moved towards Gao Yu with a big step and placed both of his hands on his master's shoulders and slowly supported her to sit down on a chair, separated from Wang Yong by a table on which there was precisely the jade box. Wang Yong didn't care in the slightest bit that the master and disciple were sitting on equal footing. Both of his eyes had already been fixed on that heaven-seizing pill, which had captured his gaze for a long time, so that he was not even able to shift it. After these 2 people had been stunned for the time it takes an incense stick to burn, Yang Chen coughed softly, making both of them recover from their shock. Have 2 heaven-seizing pills been refined or not, tell me? After becoming clear-headed, Wang Yong impatiently asked Yang Chen. Yang Chen, tell me whether that is the case. Great Master, a thing like the heaven-seizing pill, how is it possible that 2 of them had come out? Yang Chen bitterly smiled, seeing no alternative he explained. If I could refine 2 of these in the first try, then wouldn't this heaven-seizing pill be very ordinary? Then this is the only pill. Fear was visible on Wang Yong's face, not even daring to accept this clearly obvious fact. This is precisely that 1 pill we had refined for Elder Wu. Yang Chen nodded his head, and he had also spoken very clearly this time, distinctly and with confidence, ensuring that both Wang Yong and Gao Yu clearly understand this fact. Then why do you have this pill? Hearing Yang Chen's definite reply, Wang Yong and Gao Yu's first reaction was not to beaming with smiles on obtaining this, instead it was as if they had provoked a huge misfortune. Their voices were trembling just like in the beginning. Elder Wu already had no more use for this kind of pill, so he gifted it to me. Yang Chen's gentle tone was like it contained a magic to make people meditate. Naturally the content of the sentence was even better, making both Gao Yu and Wang Yong, whose hearts had been hanging in their throats, calm down slowly. Goodness gracious. In spite of the fact that Gao Yu's appearance was as if she was paralyzed while sitting on the chair, she softly spoke. You almost scared me to death. Wang Yong, sitting in front of Gao Yu, was apparently in a much better position compared to Gao Yu. His head was full of beads of sweat, which had only now dared to drop down to the ground. Wang Yong himself hadn't sensed that his heavy breathing would make it impossible to believe for anyone. This was the breath of a Yuning stage expert. Hoo-hoo. Only after taking several deep breaths was Wang Yong able to calm down. The first thing that he did not was not to question Yang Chen closely, but rather to immediately increase the number of layers of restrictive spells on top of the 9 previously placed layers by as many as he could. Only after he felt exhausted did he stop raising the layers. Why did Elder Wu gifted it to you? Why didn't he have any more use for it? After everything was set up properly, Wang Yong's gaze, which had been fixed on the jade box, moved to Yang Chen. Looking at his calm and compassed grand disciple, he suddenly had a feeling that he could not see through him. A foundation stage expert who had refined the heaven-seizing pill which a Dacheng stage expert could use at the time of ascension, all of this was similar to a dream. Because this heaven-seizing pill is not a perfect heaven-seizing pill. After saying these words, Yang Chen began to tell Gao Yu and Wang Yong about the events that had happened at the time of refining. Especially about the time when the heaven-seizing pill had been defeated by the wind tribulations, for which Elder Wu had substituted in its place. After experiencing the wind tribulation, he had become full of confidence towards ascending, which made both of them realize that this heaven-seizing pill was now no longer of much use to Elder Wu, so it was only right and proper that it was given to Yang Chen. Naturally, Yang Chen hadn't hid the matter about seizing the flame from Lianyan. Hearing that Lianyan, a Yuning stage expert, had surprisingly tried to make things difficult for Yang Chen, who was only at Kai layer at that time, Wang Yong began to curse him non-stop, without showing the bearing of a Yuning stage expert in the slightest, but much more like a village's old man. Deeply protective of his children. Wang Yong and Gao Yu eagerly listened to the ups and downs during the process of refining. By the time when Yang Chen was telling them about the pill tribulations, Wang Yong was unable to wait to ask about the circumstances of the yin fire tribulations, due to his excitement. This disciple asks for forgiveness for being impudent. Yang Chen extended his right hand and stretched it to Wang Yong's head, while extending his left hand towards Gao Yu. Wang Yong was startled, but he soon understood. Yang Chen intended to push his own memories into Wang Yong's spiritual awareness, allowing him to sense the event that had happened at that time. Immediately all kinds of wonderful but strange images began to fill up his mind. Seeing Wang Yong like this, Gao Yu also followed his example and pressed her forehead to Yang Chen's hand. The images of the pill tribulation began to appear in the spiritual awareness of Wang Yong and Gao Yu. Fortunately, the transformation of Yang Chen's spirit see after he had reached the foundation stage allowed him to support this ability to allow them to see what he wanted them to see. This was originally a technique of the spiritual world, even people like Deng Yi could only manipulate their own spirit see, but could not share it with others. Wang Yong and Gao Yu had forgotten to care about these minor details in their excitement, they were completely immersed in the process of the pill tribulation. Lightning tribulation, yin fire tribulation, wind tribulation. The descent of the 3 calamities had appeared within their spiritual awareness completely intact, as if this was happening in front of their eyes. Even the part where Elder Wu had resisted the wind tribulation by himself wasn't missed. Yang Chen had removed his hand long ago, but these 2 people were still immersed within the pill tribulation, unable to free themselves. Yang Chen didn't disturb them and calmly waited for both of them to become clear-headed on their own. After a long time, only Wang Yong had managed to awaken from that state, with a smile across his face, he said in loud voice. Oh, so it was like this. This will save me at least 100 years of useless work. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more.